Adelaide Test finished in record time. Travis Head absolutely continues to shine, and Shamar Joseph announces himself on the world stage. Big Bash League, is it good? Kind of gets a bit interesting this time of the year. Sixers through to the final. They will face either the Scorchers or Strikers or Heat, who they beat last night. Scorchers and Strikers currently playing live in an eliminator. And we'll find out, I suppose, in the coming days who will be playing in the Big Bash final. The NFL, well, American football at least. Michigan win the national championship in college ball, defeating Washington Huskies week before last. And playoff football is here. Cowboys and Eagles sent packing on Super Wildcard weekend. Absolute scenes in Detroit, their first playoff win in over close to 30 years, over 30 years.
30 years, yeah.
And a bit of NBA. Pascal Siakam joins the Pacers, gets done dirty by the world's funniest photo by ESPN. Ja Morant's out for the season, shoulder, and Celtics finally lose a game at home. The male Matildas, they're over there playing in the Asian Cup. Sam Kerr of actual Matildas fame has done an ACL, unfortunately. Plus a final round, previewing the big UFC 297 card tomorrow. Dragons doing Dragons things in the league, and the AusOpen, the few weeks of the year where we all become tennis experts. This is On The Esky, Aussie Sports Podcast. Like our Aussie sports, like our US sports, we do have timestamps. You can skip to the ones that you like and check us out on the socials. We'd like to start the show by shouting a beer. Monks, welcome back. Second show into it, finding your feet again after a bit of paternity leave.
Yep, hopefully strong start to the year.
Who you shouting a beer?
Yeah, I'm going to shout, I don't know who yet, but someone in Rugby Australia. Somehow we were able to hire a new Wallabies coach in Joe Schmidt. A little bit of a journeyman, mostly, born in New Zealand, but has coached the Island national team as well as being assistant coach and selector for the New Zealand team. Great news for us. He got Ireland to their first ever world number one ranking in rugby union. So hopefully a promising little pickup there. And
so hopefully lasts a little bit longer than
hopefully lasts more than about 6 months. So shouting a beer to Rugby Australia for hopefully maybe bringing us back into some relevance.
Big 4 years for Australian rugby with the World Cup going to be here in 4 years' time. I'd like to see how his media sprays go if he's got spraying journos, because he's certainly got big shoes to fill from Eddie Jones in that department.
He sure does.
Shauno, this is a good one. Bit of news. Who are you shouting a beer?
I am shouting Lauren Jackson, and you might be familiar with that name because she has gotten herself back into the Australian. I think they're not Opals, are they? That's their netball.
No, they're
Opals. Yeah, back into the Australian Opals team for basketball, heading into the Olympics for Paris. So I believe they're heading over to Brazil at the moment to play in a warm-up tournament, essentially. But it's good to see Lauren Jackson came out of retirement after 6 years. She's been playing since 2022. At the tender age of 40, now at 42, and back looking to play probably big minutes for the Australian side and maybe hunt down another medal.
Unreal scenes.
Absolutely crazy.
Yeah. Feel how our bodies go now, early to mid-30s. Got us covered. So wishing her all the best with her return, and might see her at the Olympics.
Mm-hmm. And we were looking at her record before, like she basically go to that sport has been dominant in the history, and then really didn't need to do anything to come back, but obviously loved it and
just love the sport.
Was healthy was probably the main thing. She retired because of all sorts of injuries, and 6 years off, she got healthy, felt good, and thought she could play some basketball.
Certainly the most decorated female Australian basketballer of all time. We were reading before 3 times WNBA champ, MVP, I should say.
4 times an Australian, did it in the same year, won championships, All-Stars, etc. The list is very, very long.
You're on a wiki there with the career highlights and awards. You actually have to scroll, get through them all.
Yeah. And for example, she's on the 25th year anniversary team for the WNBA in 2021, which was still 5 years after retired, so no one's bumping her out.
She was a WNBL MVP in 1999. She's going to be playing against girls that were born then. Incredible.
Absolutely crazy.
Speaking of old dogs, new tricks, etc., Tiger Woods and Nike will be parting ways after 27 years. There's a few little rumours regarding what Tiger might be doing in terms of apparel and sponsorship moving forward. Maybe teaming up with Roger Federer at On Running. He could do his own thing. I'm sure a Tiger brand would do very well in its own right. Or inside scoop from my golf group chat, he's actually joined up with the big names Terry Hill and the big man at Lowe's. Imagine Tiger on those ads from the 1990s with, the footy show sort of type operators. Tiger wearing some Hawaiian shirts. Look good on your work golf day with Tiger's line at Lowe's. Who knows? Probably the last is less likely, but certainly maybe teaming up with Fed or starting his own brand moving forward.
I think he'd do his own thing. I saw he's still doing promotional stuff for TaylorMade, so he's still got his other sponsors, etc. But this, I guess, is his big apparel one, and I wouldn't surprise me if you see some Tiger gear in the not too distant future.
For a quarter of a century, it's incredible. Nike and Tiger have been synonymous through the noughties and late 90s. So it's a big departure. I think it's all been amicable. They just want to do their own things, and it'll be interesting to see what Tiger does moving forward.
And he's been playing rounds of golf recently as well, which is great to see after the car crash a couple of years ago.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely.
Mop's a good one this week, boys. I'll take it from here. Ryan Rowland's not a huge name in the NBA, but he's made the headlines in the last few weeks because he was arrested for shoplifting groceries. Such expensive items like body wash, candles, etc. from Target. Mate, the cost of living's fucking hitting right at the top, isn't it? Jeez.
It is.
Minimum NBA contract still six figures and change. It's incredible times that we are living in where NBA players have to be shoplifting.
Yeah, is he a rookie?
I don't think he's a rookie, but he's not very old. You got the story there, Monks. How many charges they hit him with?
7 charges of petty larceny.
Petty larceny. He's a sophomore. He got drafted last year. 2022, I should say.
Yeah.
Okay. I was going to say, those rookie dinners must be hitting him pretty hard.
I reckon, eh?
Still recovering from them.
So, thoughts and prayers with Ryan. Hopefully he's getting dinner on the table. Doesn't go to the big house. I'm sure he'll probably get a fine, some kind of misdemeanor.
Yeah.
All right, should we talk some cricket?
Yeah. If we do that, you slide this back. You come closer. James needs to count.
Get nice and cozy.
Come more into shot, please.
Falling off the shot.
Yeah.
There we go.
There we
Is that
go.
better?
Huddle up, boys. Huddle up. Yeah, Australia, West Indies, we kind of feared that it would be over pretty quick. There was certainly patches here where the West Indies looked quite good. They're bowling.
We might have a contest.
Yeah, for sure. A little bit of resistance from a couple with the bat, but overall, pretty much one-way traffic, pretty much as expected.
The end of day 2 kind of really killed them.
Exactly. The teams, so all the speculation over the last sort of 6 weeks, a fair bit on this podcast and elsewhere, was who was going to be the replacement for David Warner. There was late mail sort of coming through a few weeks ago that Steve Smith had put his hand up, said he's keen to go up. People thought he was joking. He's like, nah, I'm not joking. I'm fucking one of the best batsmen of all time.
I'm sick of waiting, etc.
Yeah, that's right. Half the time I'm in there early anyway, and I average about 100, I think, when I am in there early. So he did end up getting the gig. Now, that meant that Cameron Bancroft, Marcus Harris snubbed, and Renshaw probably anointed as the man in waiting, given that he was in the squad along with Scotty Boland. I kind of thought that Cam Bancroft had done enough in the Shield. I sort of made that clear a few weeks ago on the pod. And Marcus Harris actually came out and was quoted as saying it's a bit raw with the disappointment of the selection or the non-selection. So it's up to the selectors if they want to pick me or pick specialist opening batsmen anymore. So he's very much of the ilk that people that are opening in red ball cricket here should be considered as openers for the test team. Where do we stand here, boys?
I thought it was interesting because then there was also the conversation about Bancroft and maybe the bad blood with the bowling crew. And Bailey came out and said that isn't the case. I've spoken to him.
But he's not going to come out and say, well, that is the case.
Yeah. No one likes him. But he reiterated that he's got to do his work. He's got to go go away and keep performing. And you kind of ask, like you say, he's been dominating the Shield,
2 years,
got the most runs. It's like, what more can he be doing? So you kind of question, like, really, is there something else there? But unfortunately for him, the probably could be his last chance. And, well, there's actually might be a potential for someone to play in this second West Indies tour, but we'll get to that later on. But outside of an injury, these guys probably not looking at getting a spot anytime soon until injury or Usman retires.
I think the retirement thing's completely valid. Bancroft's 31. That's like when Mike Hussey was starting to play Test cricket. You know, I don't think the ship has completely sailed. No. I think he's certainly missed out on a huge opportunity. But we're going to see a massive rollover of names in the next 18 months, 2 years. So I'm not going to say that his Test career and aspirations of getting back into the team are done. Obviously, took a big hit. This was a golden opportunity, and the selectors have shown that they need Cam Green, or they want Cam Green in there. The bloke averages 60 batting at 4 in the Shield. They want him batting in the middle order and developing.
And that's the thing.
And his preference is playing at 4 as well. So he's kind of put that out. I think the thing on picking a specialist opener is probably a correct point. But I think Steve Smith nullifies that because he's Steve Smith.
That's the thing. Like, you need to have Cam Green in the squad, and the rest of the squad picks itself. Like, there's just no room. You can't put any specialist opener in at the moment, as long as Cam Green's there.
And I'm putting Smith in there like Smith. So he looked pretty comfortable. He probably even slightly more aggressive than I thought against the new balls being an opener. Maybe he'd slow his pace down, but he still wanted to work, still wanted to get going like traditional Steve Smith. And I think that's good. What did you think, though, of his role in his 2 innings for this?
Well, can't say anything in the second innings. I'm chasing fucking 25.
Did he beat his score in the first innings, though?
I think it was. Yeah, I think it was quite.
He didn't. So his first inning, he's got 12 runs and he got 11.
Oh, it was close.
Yeah. There's that slight concern there that only 12, but then you look at Marnus and Green didn't do a whole lot until Travis Head came out and did the dominant amount of the batting. But then, it's
also one fucking innings.
Yes. Yeah. It's also one innings. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, the others around him did nothing as well. So it's not like he was letting the side down. But you would have hoped he'd probably scored a couple more against the West Indies.
Oh, everyone was talking about here comes the 400, breaking Brian Lyre's record, etc. Perfect opportunity. Got the itch, and it would get to Shamar Joseph in a second, but he got a good seed, didn't he? Mm-hmm. Speaking of, Shamar Joseph was one of 3 debutants in this side to go along with Justin Greaves and Cavum Hodge. You take out the names of Craig Braithwaite, Kamara Roach and Alzari Joseph, and there's literally less than double-digit tests between the remaining 8 players.
I saw a graphic that had, I think, West Indies' last 20 centuries, and Braithwaite had all of them but one. Tenable like that one.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah. There was a period where no openers, I'm pretty sure, because I think Kyle Mayers had a few and obviously is elected to play T20 instead of being with this side. But out of the openers, it was just Braithwaite and no one for a long time.
For a very long time.
We did speak about it in the last ep. We probably won't go over it again. The demise of West Indian cricket, and maybe possible demise of Test cricket, at least for the lower tiered nations. Do check out that video if you want the yarn on that. But it's not looking good for West Indian cricket moving forward when half their players, or half their guys with experience, are opting not to play Test cricket.
Yeah, but I thought that a couple of guys in this showed themselves well.
Yep, Kirk McKenzie, he's
he looked really comfortable in the second inning as well. Got 50 in the first, and you thought he'd keep going, but then he got out. And then he looked pretty solid. I think he got 20, 26-ish in the second. Looked again like he was settling himself in, and then got out as well. But I think in that middle order, coming there in the third, but in the middle order, he thought he was pretty solid for them, while everyone else was kind of falling around.
Oh yeah, 23-year-old Jamaican, hasn't played a whole heap of first-class cricket, and then he's facing the best quartet ever, which we'll get to in a second, and looking reasonably comfortable at times out there. What did you think of the decision to have a bowl? I was actually surprised at this. It's only the 9th time in 82 tests at Adelaide that the winning captain has had a bowl. So close to 10%. And only once in all the tests at Adelaide prior to this one starting, a team chose to bowl first and went on to win. That's now twice, obviously. The boys just want to get in and get it done. That's kind of how the match played out.
Seems like it, yeah.
I think based on the results as well, it looks like a bowler's pitch. So I think they obviously thought there was enough in it for themselves that it wasn't going to be like a complete road that they could just bat for ages on. That, so yeah, if that's the advantage, might as well pick the advantage instead of just batting for the sake of batting.
It's a good point. Deck certainly had a little bit of uneven bounce,
fell
especially early, and it's kind of the polar opposite of the Adelaide that we were sort of became accustomed to, at least as we were coming up. As fans of the game, the old Adelaide Highway where anything sort of less than 450, you might have been asking for trouble. So obviously the right decision.
40 wickets fell in
hindsight.
2 and a bit days. So there was definitely something in the pitch for the bowlers.
These bowlers are doing everything right, except for when it comes to the 10th wicket partnership. This was the third time in 12 months that we've let the last two concede more than 50. Obviously, we were just talking about it with Amir Jamal and the Pakistanis getting close to a 100-run partnership.
Well, I saw a graphic, and I'm going to see if I can find it. But
the pitch marking? Like where they were bowling?
No.
These guys?
That against Australia, I think it was either in the last 12 or 18 months, the 10th wicket averaged the most runs against us.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I had an average of like 27. Everything else was like 26 and like in that space.
Really?
Yes.
More than 1 through 4?
Yes.
I'd like to see that graphic.
I'll see if I can find it. I definitely tried to keep it because they were talking. The coverage was talking about it. Everyone's been talking about it. That for whatever reason, come to the 10th wicket, the Australians
they bowl short. They're just bowling at these guys' heads.
I think they pretty much and they bowl stuff that they want to throw the bat at as well. Fishing for errors essentially. They're trying to sneak it up instead of being aggressive like they have been for the top order, going at
attacking the stumps.
Yeah.
There was in that partnership they faced 84 balls. 1 was hitting the stumps.
Yeah,
it's obscene.
100% agree. I'll see if I can find this thing.
What you should save them, bro. Screenshot.
I did. I'm looking at the ones over.
I was like, holy shit!
Too many screenshots. Yeah. Interesting.
I might. Whilst you're looking for that, we might go on to the quartet.
Just keep running yourself through.
So Hazelwood, 250 wickets. Really nice, actually. Little setup there to Alik Athanasi to take the top of his off stump. There was first 2 was just making him play. Just put one just a little bit shorter, but it was still hitting the top of off. He left it and it took the bail. So all 4 now have 250 test wickets in Hazelwood, Cummins, Stark and Lyon. That's the first time ever that 4 guys have played in the same match that have 250 test wickets. The caveat is at the time.
At the time.
At the time. So we're thinking about Lee, McGrath, Gillespie, Warren. They all ended up getting 250, but when they played together, Lee didn't quite have his 250.
That's true.
It was making me think of the best bowling quartets of all time. You ask anyone that's a bit older, dads, if that's your cup of tea, who you talk to for your old cricketing information. A lot of them will tell you that Garner and Holding and Marshall and Croft and the like back in the 80s were pretty handy. But there's a real argument now that this 4 is possibly the best quartet of all time. I was looking last night at a few sort of bowling partnerships, and obviously, Broad and Anderson have over 1,000 wickets together, but in terms of an awesome foursome, they didn't really have people to go with them for extended periods of time. Graham Swan played a fair bit of cricket with them. You think of other bowling partnerships, Wasim Akram, Waqar Yunus, Courtney Walsh and Curtly Ambrose. The triplets of Antini, Sean Pollock and Aaron Donald back in the late 90s. But I don't think a team has just had a pick it and stick it kind of option that we've had with these 4. And it's such a luxury for Australian cricket fans, that we've just sort of become accustomed to. These are the 4, provided they're fit, and then we've got some depth off the bench, if you will, with Scotty Boland and Jai Richardson when he's come in, and the future's obviously looking towards possibly Lance Morris. But we've really been blessed with these 4 bowlers over the last sort of 10 years. The fact that they've got 1,000 wickets plus, it's more like 1,300, isn't it, with Lions?
Yeah.
We're looking at how many tests that has to be to actually get that many.
Yep.
That's what was it, 65 tests or something of every single wicket?
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah. I think you sort of touched on it as well, like the fact that they're healthy, like Cummins has been in and out of the squad, Hazelwood's been in and out of the squad, Lions last year.
Hazelwood debuted a bit later as well. So
I
think we worked it out. It was about 134 tests since Lion debuted.
Yep.
And interesting, I was surprised that Lion, Stark and Cummins all debuted within 3-4 months of each other.
Yeah.
So
and Cummins was out for 4 years.
Yes, yeah. But then that worked out to about 2,640 odd runs available, and they've taken
wickets.
Wickets available, and they've taken 1,380. So just over half of them. But like we said, there's plenty of different other ways to get out. So for them to get 50% just shows one how dominant they've been in the squad. No one's been able to break into it. And they've also, their consistency outside of those guys missing a couple injuries, they've been able to play for as long as they have.
And that's that 2,500 odd wickets available in their careers so far. Doesn't take into account, weather, doesn't take into account a team, losing to an India or
not
or
taking
all
20 wickets in a test match.
Yeah, exactly right. So I think if you wanted to argue the case, it's the best quartet of all time. The stats are certainly there to back it up. For mine, a team that involves McGrath and Warne, the arguably greatest spinner of all time and greatest Australian quick of all time. Pretty hard to argue against. So whether or not you go with Lee and Gillespie to back them or insert other two here, I suppose the caveat there is they didn't play as much cricket together as a foursome. I think that 4 in particular had about 16 tests together. So these guys are approaching 30 tests together.
Yeah, and likely they will continue. It's most likely that Cummins and Hazelwood will get past 300 while they're all still playing together.
Yeah, so we'll be able to talk about this in maybe 18 months' time with all of them having 300 plus.
Yeah. Another 52 for Stark in that time frame is probably a bit too many to get to his 400. So, because they
not
are
impossible,
but they also do steal wickets from each other. So that is the challenge with this, is who gets what wickets. Because Hazelwood and Cummins basically took all the wickets in this test. So, I did find that stat. It was for the summer. So for the summer,
this summer,
8 innings. Yeah. So that was the graphic they showed on Channel 7, and then I've got another graphic that pulls it up and compares it. But yes, the average is 27 for the 10th wicket. Second wicket is for 26 as average. The 6th wicket was 26. The 3rd 25. I'm going down in order. 4 24. 7 was 20, and then the 1st was 16.
The reverse batting order.
And then 8 and 9 were the lowest at 14 and 4. And then 5 was there at 15. So
for this summer, which is 4 tests so far, the place to bat is 10 and well, the 10th wicket at least. It's incredible.
Just don't tell any international teams that we might have cracked a code in Australian cricket.
Or maybe the bowlers maybe
they've just got to reverse the order.
Just attack the stumps.
Yeah. True. Well, we did it in England. I felt like we lost our way a fair bit and tried to short stuff, just fishing for happy to bleed runs and fishing for mistakes. And I think it bit us a few times where we bled too many runs and then had to change the plan. I think if we just stuck and been aggressive, it might have been better. And this pitch, for this game, for especially both sides, it was a seamer's paradise. Like if you hit line and length, you were getting wickets. So anyway,
there was a man who was able to hit a fair bit of line and length, pretty much unknown before this test, Shamar Joseph. He'd only really bowled with tape balls and fruit, I was hearing, for up until about 2 years ago. He gets scouted in Guyana, who sends him off to a bowling camp. Curtly Ambrose sees him there, gets thrown into the Guyana first-class team, plays 5 games for them, hasn't played any international white ball cricket, and then he's into the Adelaide Test, and what does he do with his first ball in Test cricket?
Steve
Smith. What an unbelievable debut for Shamar Joseph, hey?
Yeah. And what was his final figures for the first innings? So I think he got
5 for 80 odd, maybe?
Yeah. getting his first fifer as well. Like we were saying, it's like, we're probably hopefully watching the first another West Indies megastar potentially. Well, he's the kind of guy, and they did heaps of press with him here in Australia. Like, talking to him a bunch. He's a pretty cool, down to earth guy. He's the kind of player that you want to try and build around, you want to market, etc. The risk is now that some T20 squad is going to turn around and throw big money at him, and he'll disappear. Yeah. So hopefully, he can stick him into West Indies cricket for the foreseeable future. Because, he looks like a real talent, and he looked dangerous again in the. He only got, I think, 1 over in 1 or 2 overs in the second innings. But that line of length, he beat the bat all the time, and he looked the most likely for them to take runs, to take wickets. Sorry.
Yep. 5 for 94 in the first innings for Shamar Joseph. He's not a real tall man either. He's only about 5'10", 5'11", which is quick, quite unusual for quicks. But it just goes to show you don't have to be tall and lightning fast. The bloke was just putting it on the shoebox and a little bit of seam movement, and that's how you get wickets.
Yeah, and his figures would have been better if it wasn't for Bravis Head that decided to stick around and get a ton while everyone else was kind of falling around him. Because I think when Travie came out, we were 5 for 100 odd.
It would have been 4. No, 3 for something because he's batting 5.
3 for 67.
67. I feel like we were down 5 for about 100 or something, and then he and was it Kerry kind of solidified it a little bit. Because everyone else was dropping.
We were 5 for 129.
Yeah.
So,
and he had to do most of the work to.
100% he did.
And I think it was good for Kerry Stark and Cummins kind of just hanged around. Even Nathan Lyon threw in a fair bit there at the end. But hanging around so he could keep going.
Got to talk about him. It's his 7th Test century and saved our ass really in the World Cup in a few of those knocks as well. Him and it was Mitch Marsh in the Pakistan series that was saving us. Is there a bit of concern here with this top order and the lack of runs? Obviously, we've spoken a lot about Marnus and Smudge by their lofty standards haven't been really up to scratch. I feel like if we dish this up against India in 12 months' time, we're getting hammered.
Yeah, going to be in trouble, and I think that's going to be the caveat. We can have Steve Smith as an opener. We can try some things out against West Indies, but we also need to see runs from him and then the guys around him as well. Usman's been Usman, but Marnus needs to fire, and if Cam Green's going to be 4, he's going to expect to need to hit runs because those other guys haven't been at their best. So, those 4 you'd expect a decent score against the likes of West Indies. You look at who knocked over those 4, Joseph.
Shamar Joseph, all of them except for Usman. It's pretty incredible debut to have the scalps of Smith, Labuschagne, Green at the top of the order.
Yeah, I wonder if it was just kind of a guy that they didn't have any film on, they weren't sure what to expect, and he just was just so good with his line of length, had a bit of movement. They just were too eager to score, thinking they were getting big scores.
I think he was just too good. Yeah. Like, of course, they wouldn't have had barely anything on him. So I don't know how much they're out there studying different bowlers. Probably Smudge would be the.
I think at that kind of level, they would have watched some stuff and kind of try to work out some tendencies. I think they'll probably be better in the second innings, having have faced it. They kind of see what they're expecting out of this young West Indies team, and they those outside of Usman, those guys in the top 4, they would be hoping for a good score in the next Test match.
So for all the good things they did with the ball and pegging Australia down to 283, it was just a nightmare in that second innings for the West Indies. They lost 3.
If they got Travis Head out, then this is a Test match.
100%. 100%.
Head was the difference.
Yeah, he was the difference. Hazelwood maybe a little stiff not to get the man of the match after getting wickets in each of his first 3 overs. The Windy started 3 for 7, and then he just started to get the feeling.
He also got a 4th in his 5th over to be 4 for 2. So
incredible from the big bush horse. He had 9 for the Test, didn't he? Didn't quite get the 10 for. No. 9 for 79 he had on the Test match. He's hit Lyon post-match always sticking up for fellow bowling partners. Maybe that's why they work so good as a quartet. Yes. They've all got each other's backs.
That's it.
He just stuck the boot into Trav Head, said, mate, he got 100 and then got out slogging. It's like taking 3 wickets and then putting the feet up and saying you're not bowling for the rest of the day. good little bit of banter there between the Aussies. Probably the most concerning thing to happen late in the test match was Usman getting struck and having to retire hurt. A little bit of concern around concussion. Mugs, if you wouldn't mind just chasing any sort of news in the last
the big
hours.
risk was jaw fracture because the ball kind of bounced off his shoulder and went under the face cage and hit him flush on the chin. So, they're talking about boxer's jaw, you hit one side and it breaks on the other. But he looked like they checked him. He was spitting out blood, maybe bit his tongue a little bit. But they took him off for precautionary. The scans came back negative.
Yep.
They're watching him for concussions. But nothing recent. So no recent news to say that, he could potentially miss. But might open the door to one of these other young fellas if Usman wants to have a rest, but I don't think
he'd have to be getting scratched by the team doctor. What was his post? He said, "Thanks for all the well wishes. I'm all right."
And he also said,
"He said I'm fine. Just wanted Marnus
to hit the winning runs.
Have a bit of a stick."
Yeah, so he came out, had faced 2 balls, and hit 1 run to win the game. So.
Certainly looked a little dicey when it happened, but it seems he's all good. So they'll just monitor a little bit of sort of post-concussive stuff. But in terms of his jaw, he's all good. I would be very, very surprised if he's not playing in Brisbane, and that surely won't be his call.
Agreed.
Yep. Shortest test in Adelaide history. We alluded to that at the start. 2 days and just under a session. Was this dumb scheduling again from Cricket Australia to have this test, A, starting on a Wednesday, B, not being a day-nighter? I think, few South Australians were pretty miffed about losing the day-night test and it going over to Brisbane. Maybe they were scared that if it was a day-night test and the ball hooping around, it would have been even shorter. But they've had all...
But they're going to have a day-night test for the 5th one.
They are, but it's not like they've scrapped day-night tests.
Yep.
That's the fact that it's been such a success for Adelaide, and I think their premier and some people were speaking up about, hey, why did we lose this?
Yes, exactly.
But in terms of scheduling, a lot of people back at work, and credit to the Adelaide crowds, 16,000 people rocking up yesterday for just under a session of cricket. Yep. Should they be looking at this and looking at the opponent and think, maybe we start this on a Friday, and if it goes 2 and a little bit days, at least we've got a Saturday
over the weekend
of people watching cricket. We're all Saturday today, and should have been day 4, and didn't even go close to making day 4, and you missed out on a lot of primetime viewership.
Conspiracy.
This would be good.
No.
Get your tinfoil hats out.
Cricket Australia's probably looked at this and gone, this test ain't lasted 3 days. Let's put it on Wednesday so we clear the runway for the Big Bash League for the knockout game on Saturday night.
Not a bad conspiracy.
No.
Because to me, it makes a little bit of sense. There was there's no way West Indies are going in 4 days. I mean, that young squad. It's just let's push it forward a little bit, clear the air so we
it's a win-win for
get
them.
the
They
knockout.
either have a test on the weekend, or they've got the BBL as your backup.
Yep. And that's a perfect segue into the BBL. And, we saw a sold-out SCG for the Sydney Smash. And what was happening in the Sydney Smash? The test players were there. It was Warner against Smith. All the pre-game hoo-ha about Warner catching a chopper from his brother's wedding. He must fucking hate his brother. I don't know why you'd be leaving your brother's wedding to play
again,
Big Bash.
Conspiracy. Cricket Australia's probably gone, Warner, mate, we need you playing in this game because we want to sell tickets. He's like, no, I got a wedding. There's absolutely no way I'll be able to get there unless you get something like a helicopter. And they're like, done.
Get to the chopper. Get to the chopper.
He's like, oh shit, really? Yeah, he's like, because we wanted there, and it's sold out.
Yep.
42,000 were in there, the biggest by far. They average, I think, was 22,000, so it's almost double. To get to the sold out, but it was significantly more, and I think it was 1 because, like we said, it's a Sydney Smash, but 2, they had the big names there, and I think it wasn't the exact example I used the last podcast, but what would you do if you had Smudge versus Marnus? I think was my example.
Which would have been if the Heat were playing.
Yeah, but we've got it here, and it really hit home. The message is people will show out if the Big 11, the Australian top 11 are playing Big Bash games.
They didn't get to see much of Steve Smith, unfortunately.
No, and not much from Warner either. So
he had a golden quacker smudge. pretty much hit it out of the screws, but just straight down deep square legs throat. You see Warner chirping him beforehand, taking guard.
Yeah, that's not square. you're a bit off. So.
Yeah, that's right. If you're going to open the batting, you should be able to mark it properly, etc. Didn't age really well because Warner made 37. It was just a pedestrian 37, and they got bowled out. So it wasn't actually the greatest spectacle from the Test players in the end. Tell you who was good, bloody Sock, Steve O'Keefe, 3 for 13 off his 4 overs, if you don't mind. That I think he's been the most economical bowler in the Big Bash so far. He's gone a tick over 6 runs and over, and he's announced that he's retiring at the end of the year. So Sixers straight through to the Big Bash final. So Sock will be hoping to leave as a multiple Big Bash champ. A few other games had sort of into the lead up into these playoff games that we'll talk about in a second. The Heat finally lost the game. The Scorchers beat them by 35 runs, so maybe good to get that loss out of the way. For the Heat, didn't help them last night. They lost it again. Anyways, they didn't go into it being undefeated. AJ Tye very good in that one. The big one in the Melbourne derby between Renegades and Stars was Aaron Finch's last game. So they had a little bit of a pre-game thing for him at Marvel. Again, he said he was a little embarrassed, and much like Smudger in the Sydney Smash, he got a quacker as well. He hadn't even been opening this season, so they promoted him up the order to try and give the people what they want, and send him off on a high note. But he got a quacker and got caught by his good mate Glenn Maxwell as well, which was a little bit funny. I was kind of thinking, maybe Maxie just drop the dolly and let him go out there, but they're still competitive, obviously.
Yep.
Sean Marsh announced after this that he's done as well. He had 64 not in that game. 40 years old, right. I think, Sauce. So,
real champion.
Yeah. So there goes Finchy and Sauce from Big Bash. Renegades did win that game. Strikers and Thunder here in Canberra. Matt Short.
He's been dominant.
He's
not in this one, though.
Unfortunately, hasn't done it when it counted here. Strikers look like they're in real trouble. He's leading run scorer by a long way. We'll have a look at all the numbers in the Big Bash in the next pod. Good chance he opens batting for Australia in these ODIs against the West Indies.
Yeah, we're talking pre-pod that it's unlikely that Steve Smith's going to get that opening spot. So, he's done everything he needs to do. He's got all the runs. As long as the bowlers like him, it sounds like he'll get picked.
Still riding that way, mate. Hurricanes beat Stars. That didn't really matter.
I think with the Stars being eliminated, Maxwell also stepped down as captain. So he'd been captain for quite a while for them.
Right.
Sixers beat the Scorchers, so that was in Perth. So they can be beaten in the Furnace. It's looking highly likely that will be the Big Bash final again. That's I think 3. If it is that, and we're getting ahead of ourselves, I think that would be 3 out of the last 4.
They're dominating in this one.
And Thunder and Renegades game 40 was a dead rubber, and it was rained out in Sydney. Surprise. You boys catch much of the qualifier last night?
No, I didn't.
I saw a fair bit. The best thing was that Jack Edwards catch.
Yep.
Jeez.
I did see that.
Reflexes like a cat. Got a hit, smash straight back at him. He put the hand out and just stuck. And the most casual celebration ever. Just had a little look at the batsman. Knew he'd got his man. Catchers win matches, and conversely, they lose matches. I think Moses Henriques got dropped twice and did most of the damage with the bat for the Sixers. Sold out Carrara Stadium there. The Gabba obviously unavailable as they prepare it for the upcoming Test match. Yep. So Sixers straight through to the final. Heat will play the winner of the game that is currently unfolding before our eyes. And as it stands in the 10th over, the Strikers are in real trouble. 4 for 49. They're going to need some sort of effort here from their middle order bats to keep them alive in this.
So where will they play that game, the Challenger game?
Oh, that is a good question. Does it go back up to Brisbane? Because they're the highest seed. So
I would think so.
I feel like it'll be in Brisbane. Yeah, they've listed them first. So I imagine it's Carrara. It's out at the Gold Coast again, I think.
Yep.
Is that right?
Challenger, yep.
Carrara Stadium.
Play there. So, and then where's the final being played? Is it back here?
No, Sydney Sixers should get the home.
It's in Sydney.
It's in Sydney? Okay, so Sixers.
Yeah.
Cool.
So as it stands, we'll keep you updated throughout the pod, but we will stop talking cricket in a second. Likely to be a striker's exit unless they're able to really conjure something, and then the challenger game is likely to be the Scorchers going over to the Gold Coast to take on the Heat.
Yeah, you got dates for me there, Jimmy?
It's Monday and Wednesday, I think.
Yep, the 22nd is the challenger, and the 24th will be the final.
I know. Yep. And when's the test start? Thursday?
Yeah, I think Thursday.
Good.
Maybe it's Friday.
So that's some decent scheduling.
Possibly. It's strange. I think that to have the Big Bash running all year and then
Finals on a Wednesday.
Yeah,
I guess
your major semi-finals are Monday night. But
again, that's probably because of the test match. If you did it on next Saturday, then you're, like we're saying, that's
you're
day
conflicting
3.
with
You're
your
conflicting,
test.
Yeah, so the 24th was the final, 25th is the start of the next test.
So they're starting on Australia Day. So that's an old sort of tradition to have Test cricket starting a
day before.
Day before. 26th is Australia.
Thursday, yeah.
So second day will be Australia Day. Mm-hmm. No cheap shit from Woolies, unfortunately. It's a wave around. All right, that'll do us for cricket.
On that note, moving over to US.
Let's do it.
He broke his ankles.
We'll just quickly go over the College Football National Championship. We don't talk a heap of college football on this podcast, but, it's a huge event over there in the States. Michigan, the only college football team hat that we have on this podcast, worked out all right. Win their first national championship since 1997. Bit of a one-sided affair. You boys catch much of this or catch highlights?
Yep. Yeah, Michigan... played great defense and pounded the rock, essentially, and Washington had no answers for it. So they brought some really interesting pressure, and the Washington offensive line, who has been highly touted throughout the college season, touted.
Tau Moga?
Yes. Kind of struggled with it, and that really impacted their ability to pass because they had like 50-odd attempts, and I don't even think they hit 50% on the completion. So they tried. They Michael Penix missed a couple of guys open. Like they had some attempts and chances, but Michigan were just too good.
You reckon this game hurts Michael Penix's draft stock because he had skyrocketed after the semi-final? People were starting to think, maybe he's a first-round sort of pick.
Yeah, they'll look at it, and because he is well known to have a bit of accuracy issues going deep. He had over a couple of guys in this one. They wasn't as clinical, especially with the extra pressure. And NFL's going to be a different beast with NFL defenses facing you. So it'll ask some serious questions. I think he's still definitely talented enough. He's got the arm strength. The questions will always be how good is his knees or knee in particular.
He's done 2 ACLs
of the same knee. Yep. And what that kind of. And the feeling of, lefty as well. How does that fit with everything too? So, On
the other side of the ball, he just had to sort of be a game manager, didn't have to throw the rock a whole lot. But JJ McCarthy's a national champion and, again, likely to go in the first round.
Yep, and I think, game managers probably his tag, which might also be, detrimental to him. Will he... compared to those guys that have the elite arm talent, a bit extra, can they move around, etc. Maybe he might not be the talent that, say, Callum Williams or Drake is, but he could be, that middle kind of game manager, and maybe there's a team that could use him to do something.
Brock Purdy says hi.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going 263rd in the draft.
No.
In terms of game management, does a fine
job. First round quarterbacks are important, and when
there's
we
going to
talk
be a bucket load in the draft in April, isn't there?
Yeah, and when we talk about the NFL, every one of the current quarterbacks left in the playoffs is a first rounder, but Purdy, who was the 7th.
Did see that. There's on that, Baker's the first overall pick, Stroud's the second overall pick, Goff was the first overall pick. So there's 3 out of the 8 are high-end picks.
Yep. Mahomes was 12, I think. So
10, I think.
Yeah, he was right. And he just ticked into the double digits for him. So, there's plenty of talent. And Love was back end.
Back end first round.
Yeah.
He's looked. We'll get to them in a second.
Yes.
Not a heap of Michigan Wolverines actually touted to go high in the draft. McCarthy probably would be the highest.
Yep.
I think Junior Colson, one of their linebackers, Josh Wallace, one of the corners, sort of might be mid sort of draft there. Blake Corum, who had an awesome game in this one. There's a few sort of question marks, I think, around speed and NFL talent, but nothing wrong with a 5th or 6th round running back in the NFL these days. He might get picked up, and one of their receivers, Roman Wilson, I think.
Yep.
Washington, on the other hand, have a heap of guys that are projected to go quite high. So we spoke about Penix before. Their receivers and O-line all looking at going pretty high. So it'll be interesting to see in the draft how many do go. Lots of returning players from Michigan as well. So they'll be having their eyes set on a back-to-back.
Yeah, they'll just need to see if they need a new coach or not.
Well, yeah, I was going to ask, any news on that?
Not official.
Nothing
He had
official
his
yet?
second interview with the Falcons today, as did Belichick. So they seem like heavy favourites at the moment for that position. Because I think they're looking at it as it's a talented roster. And
There are a lot of head coaches out there.
yeah, and well, the roster is talented, especially on the offensive side of the ball, and they need a quarterback. And there is a guy, Kirk Cousins, that might fit into a nice game manager kind of role there with the talent around them. He's actually a free agent at the moment, but there's plenty of, say, young guys that have also sort of flamed out that he could be retreads that just need an opportunity somewhere else. Think of like Mac Jones. I don't think you follow Belichick, but Mac Jones is out there. Zach Wilson's out there available. So there's.
I mean,
guys
you're
of
also just talking about a game manager in JJ McCarthy as well.
Yeah.
Is that a possibility?
Yeah, definitely.
Also, probably worth mentioning that Kalen DeBoer, the Huskies coach, going over to Bama with the Nick Saban retirement.
Yes.
Yeah. A lot of chess pieces moving.
Yeah, well, Saban, Belichick, and Pete Carroll all gone within
Crazy, huh?
within the same week.
Within 2 days.
And they'd each been in their positions for close to 20. Well, I think Pete was the youngest of the three. He
Was
hadn't
he the
hit-
youngest?
No, well, so youngest as in he hadn't hit
The
20 years coaching for the one
shortest
team.
tenure.
Shortest tenure,
Yeah.
yes, sorry.
I was like, that guy old.
He's old.
Let's talk about Super Wildcard Weekend. The big story was the cold, the Arctic freeze that was rolling
It's looking
through
like this
Central
week might be
USA.
Lots of
just as
snow.
cold, if not
Yeah.
worse.
Yeah. Blizzards.
So the Kansas City game we'll get to in a second was immensely cold. Buffalo game had to be postponed.
Blizzard.
And we had a bit of everything. We saw a few blowouts, a couple
Fair
of
few blowouts. I
a
think.
few close games, but mostly more on the blowout side, and a few major upsets.
Yeah.
The first game was a bit of a blowout. Texans just looked unstoppable at home at NRG. Joe Flacco hadn't lost a wild card going into this one. So much sort of Browns hype around Joe Flacco, and they just really didn't show up for this one
Their defense wasn't up for this one.
at all. CJ Stroud, unreal, 16 of 21, 3 touchdowns. Nico Collins has been killing it all year. And the game was over midway through the third quarter when there was back-to-back pick sixes. Throwing one's pretty frustrating for a quarterback in the team. Throwing 2 on 2 consecutive possessions. That was that game over just then.
Yep.
It's only the 4th team ever to win a playoff game with a rookie quarterback in CJ Stroud and a rookie head coach in D'Amico Ryans. What about the Antarctica game? Chiefs 26, Dolphins 7. It's the 4th coldest game in playoff history.
That's wild.
A nippy minus 21 degrees Celsius, and the wind chill even colder.
Yeah, I think I saw
That's
14 people were admitted with cold, like hypothermia and frostbite. So
That's
yeah,
fans, is it?
yeah,
Crazy.
fair.
The thing as well, like you've got all that, but there was no snow. It was just like ice and frost.
It was just
Like,
cold.
It was just cold.
fucking
It was
Well,
just,
often those ones are colder. So
Yeah.
the Buffalo
wind
snow
chill.
game was like -5.
Yeah.
But it's when they get that cold, that you can't have cloud cover. 'Cause
Yeah.
that sort of insulates
Yep.
things. A little bit of meteorology. On the Esky. I think a lot of these super cold games are the clear ones. So if you go back to the Ice Bowl and the Freezer Bowl, some of those ones, those famous ones in the 60s and 70s, they're clear days.
Yep.
It's just
Yep.
bitterly cold. And the next time a Canberra Raiders person bitches that they're not going out to Bruce Stadium because it's 0, you just need to go 20 degrees colder and throw in a bit of wind and see what these crazy Chiefs fans are doing. Having said that, it wasn't full. It was a little, like you said, Sean, like unsafe levels of cold, so that did sort of detract a few fans.
Yep, and follow the Buffalo game. It was the first time in playoff history. I think they didn't have allocated seats. They just said, just come and sit wherever you want.
Did you see it?
Yes, because people had to dig their seats out.
Yeah, shovels.
There were seats.
They got the ground cleared nicely in the postponement, but there was literally some good footage of people just walking through, and the seats were just covered in snow.
I saw some video today. There's a few hundred people again turning up with shovels to help clear the stadium for seats for this upcoming game.
It's wild.
So, yeah. But yeah, the Dolphins, being from Florida, got dicked in this one.
Tyreek was out there warming up in just his shirt. Obviously, used to not quite this cold, but Kansas City does get cold. Yeah. Chiefs just played a good, smart, cold weather game, pounded the rock. Isaiah Pacheco, he's been good all year. And Rashee Rice, they've probably found their wide receiver one moving forward, unless they go high for a wide receiver. But obviously, probably the first 4 or 5 off the board will be gone come draft time. We'll get to them in the Bills in a second, but geez, Mahomes in playoff games, you just as ordinary as the Chiefs have looked at times this season, they're certainly not the Chiefs that we've become accustomed to. You can't rule them out, can you?
Yeah, and I think the Dolphins team was a bit of a fake team. They didn't beat anyone above 500 all year.
Yeah.
So, and I don't think their defense was quite where it needed to be, and this kind of highlighted it. I think a lot of the teams in the playoffs, in this first round of the playoffs, those guys that kind of maybe snuck in or weren't really, the record might have been good, but it might have been fluffed with some of their competition, really got found out. And, some of those NFC teams, particular division, particularly, maybe got found out as being a bit of a puffed up division.
Well, let's talk about that first one in the NFC East. We them boys, lots of Cowboy believers and lots of Cowboy fans just going, shit, here we go again, because
what more could you expect?
They really suck in the playoffs. The Cowboys had not lost for close to 2 years at AT&T Stadium. They were 16 wins on the trot at home. The Packers were about 4-1 outsiders, and they started on fire. Granted, the Cowboys did score a little bit in garbage time, but the 48-32 scoreline probably doesn't do justice how one-sided this was.
They made it, the Packers were sitting their starters, and they made it a bit closer. So then they had to come back out. It was like, maybe not. Because, they were going, 8 points at a time. So, they were getting it. They were making it interesting, and there was a drive there that they ended up turning it over if they got, I think they gained a touchdown in the conversion. It was 40-48 with a little bit of time left and onside, and you were interesting.
I was starting to get the point as a Packers fan. I was like, sure, this can't. Just enough to question it.
Yeah. But in the end, it didn't matter.
Jordan Love, trust the process. They know what they're doing. It's what Rodgers did for his first few years, understudy to Favre. When they did the pick, we were all scratching our heads. We were like, this is going to piss off Rodgers. He ends up leaving. But he seems like he can ball, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I think everyone that isn't a Packers fan is bitching about how do they do it? How do they get their third Hall of Fame quarterback in a row? Especially Bears fans. We haven't had a 4,000
early days.
We haven't had a 4,000 yard passer in our history. So. And it was like, how can they keep doing it?
And he's got a sick name, and there's so many good signs up. Do you believe in life after love and shit? Lots of players on Love. Love watching him. He's that good. It was 27-zip at one stage. Cowboys managed to score before the half, which sort of just kept the second half a little bit interesting. So some of the throws that he made as well, you could see that he's been watching Rodgers, because he does not need to have his feet planted. He can throw off his back foot. He can throw both feet in the air, and just didn't really throw an errant pass all game.
No, it was electric in this, and then Jones just backed it up and capped off all their drives and punched it in. They just got points and played a decent defense.
That's it.
The Cowboys got found out. I think they'd been undefeated at home for quite a while as well. Their record at home was awesome.
16 in a row.
Yeah, 16 in a row. So they just walked in and kicked him in the mouth. So,
you know who else loves AT&T Stadium? Packers have never lost there in the new stadium. So dating back to 09, they haven't lost.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
there you go. In 5 minutes into the fourth quarter, it was 48-16. So
crazy,
yeah,
hey?
it was absolutely wild.
Little bit of garbage time points there, just to make it interesting towards the end. What was going on with the Cowboys D, boys? Some of those touchdowns, you see
Secondary was just
they were banged
nowhere.
up. So I think Gilmore all week had barely practiced, and probably in hindsight shouldn't have played in this one because
he got torched a couple of times.
Yeah, they struggled. And I think overall that then impacted their secondary. They just struggled, and they couldn't get any pressure. So with the way the Packers just pounded the rock down their throat, so they're just beaten from pillar to post.
Mike McCarthy keeps his job. There was memes coming through in the game that had already hired Bill Belichick.
Yeah. Well, and it was interesting because Jerry Jones even said, in his quote for the reason why he was keeping Mark McCarthy was his regular season record. So, very pointed as like, he's really good at the regular season. I was just like, bro, but don't you want to go over the top? Don't you want to win a Super Bowl? So, he's been there once. Took Aaron Rodgers to one Super Bowl.
Yep.
So there's the questions there. Could you have won more considering you had Aaron Rodgers?
Well, how much does that have to fall on Aaron Rodgers as well? And multiple losses at the NFC Championship game. Packers defense also probably didn't help them.
Same can be said for Dak Prescott as well.
So 2-5 in playoff games now for Dak. So was arguably the best quarterback in the league this year. We've already had the Lamar Dak chat, but on paper certainly. Had the numbers and just is struggling to get them deep into the playoffs. They haven't been to the NFC Championship game for over 30 years.
Yeah, and
close to 30 years.
Yeah, and a few jokes that we've just got Tony Romo again. Like, just
awesome quarterback.
Just couldn't win playoff games.
Just couldn't get the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it just seems like a cowboy thing, and I'm here for it.
America's team just loves exiting in the
and they're not even Texas team anymore, bro. It's all about Houston.
Let's go Texans. Rams Lions. This was a nice little
best game,
nice little script, if you will, going into it too. So Lions first home playoff game since 1993. Quick maths, that is over 30 years. They were pumping a bit of Eminem pre-game. He was in there. You see all the Lions fans rapping. It actually sounded pretty good. 80,000 people rapping.
And I think I saw something. It was the loudest stadium during the playoffs. They were very vocal. And Eminem was funny. He was just like, Stafford, bro, just give us this one. Just give us one. And it seems to have done wonders for them. Michigan winning the Natty. So Detroit could potentially go deep. They look like a good football team, and Dan Campbell should be praised for everything he's done over there.
He was on the Lions team that went 0-16 back in the day. Did see a picture of a kid wearing Detroit jersey, Michigan hat, and hooking into this massive cheesy slice of pizza. And I was saying, this kid's having the best week of his life. Well done to you, kid. The closest, most entertaining game of Super Wild Card.
Great quarterback play.
Stafford didn't do much to lose it. Like, you look at his numbers there, 367 yards, 2 touchdowns, didn't turn the ball over. Puka Nacua, jeez.
Would have broken all sorts of records if they kept going deeper in the playoffs.
Yeah, for sure. 181 yards and a touchdown. Are we going to start talking about Amon-Ra St. Brown as, like, elite wide receiver? Like top 5?
Who's ahead of him?
CD, AJ Brown. Tyreek. Jefferson
healthy?
So that's your top 4.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, I think
conversation.
He's definitely in the conversation. Like, he's been dominant. I think he's had 6 or 7 straight weeks of 100+ receiving yards. Yeah. He dominated all year. I think. Did he finish like 3rd in receiving yards for the year? Yeah. So, I think he's definitely a reason why Goff has been succeeding over there. So. They definitely got him some weapons. Williams has been playing better and getting more game time, and Laporta has been a find of the year, I think, at the tight end position.
Incredible stuff from Sam Laporta. Did he get banged up in this? But I think he
for previous week, and he played with a knee brace and played through it, and he was okay. He scored a touchdown in his game, so he's doing his role there.
And that dual running back room as well. David Montgomery, sort of the goal line power back guy, and Jahmyr Gibbs. Geez, he looks dangerous in the open field.
Their offensive line's good. Yeah, maybe some question marks on their defense. If it's the elite kind of level, that'll help them when they get when they're not playing in the dome that is Detroit. But you never know. Maybe it'll have to go through them to get to the Super Bowl. So
yes, you're right. St. Brown's was third, 15 yards. And
Ahead of Puka Nakua.
Head of Puka Nakua. And on receiving touchdowns, both him and Laporta got 10 for the season. Tied fourth.
If you want to tell me that the Sun God's top 5, I'm not arguing with you.
I wouldn't look at you funny. I'd be like, yep, I can definitely see why.
Steelers-Bills game did get postponed, and the Bills did it pretty comfortably. Again, maybe score didn't really reflect how one-sided it was. 21-0 lead at half. Josh Allen looked really good. Three passing touchdowns and a rushing touchdown.
No intercepts is the important one.
For him, that is a big thing, and for them to win playoff games, going to be important.
Plus, he ran 50 yards for a touchdown, so
look good on that run.
Some question marks about that, though, because he didn't fake slide, sort of fake slid.
He looked like he was doing the old Kenny Pickett from college when he bumped a huge fake slide. It wasn't as pronounced as that.
But then also later in the game, he does slide and gets a pretty good, hitting the quarterback penalty as well, which wasn't a real big penalty, and a
bit things too much.
A bit of an Oscar there for Josh as well to sell it. But that's the question: is if he's fake sliding and we don't hit him, and then when he is sliding and we do touch him a little bit and we get penalised, what are we going to do?
Mate, we've spoken about it. The game suits the offense.
Yes, it does.
It is difficult. Also, sort of in that same sort of conversation as Dak and guys that are super talented, but hasn't. He's been to an AFC Championship. Hasn't been to the Super Bowl just yet.
Well, at least won a playoff game. So.
Yeah, well, that's true. That's true. Dak's one too. But he, on his day, he's one of the most electrifying footballers there is. The dual threat, and once again in the red zone, it's a nightmare trying to contend with him. Bucks, geez, I thought they were an outside chance to win this. I didn't think they were going to go out there and dominate.
No.
Well, the way the Eagles have been playing,
they lose 5 of the last 6.
Their collapse was complete. Well, they were 10-1, and then they won one game after that.
Yeah.
So 1-7, I think, if you include the playoff game.
Oh, was it really? Yeah.
Jeez. Yeah. No. Yeah. The way NFC South sort of played out this season, wasn't really expecting much from them. Be like you got there, Baker Mayfield just was playing awesome.
How good for him as well, because there's so much rhetoric around how he's trash and he's a bust and this at the end of the Brown stuff, and he's really revived his career this year.
Yeah, well, I think during the week I saw a post like when he was finishing up at Carolina, he was like filling in for D lineman against the offense, and now he's playing in the playoffs for the Bucks.
He was their scout team D lineman.
Yeah,
like, there's photos of him in a 3-point stance. Like, it's crazy.
The offensive tackles just laughing. Unreal. They put him to the sword. Their offense
there were lights out here.
Was so good.
Eagles couldn't tackle anyone.
Yeah. Like their defense was shithouse.
Yeah, fell off completely, and their offense really couldn't get anything going. AJ Brown did miss this game. Smith, I think, got let up in this as well halfway through. So, not a lot of options there. The rain game couldn't really get anything going, and all credit to the Bucks. They played really good offense, and I think people forget that a large part of their Super Bowl team is still there.
Yeah,
they still got a decent amount of talent on the defense. So they're a team to worry about. But they come up against some strong competition against the Lions, having to go to the Lions.
Let's talk about that now. So the next 48 hours, we've got the
is it AFC first?
Divisional playoffs. Yeah, so the first game tomorrow morning is Ravens-Texans. Ravens have looked super comfortable. They've gone out and smacked up teams like the 49ers in San Francisco. Lamar Jackson's a shoe-in for the MVP, and they've had a week off. Is there any chance that the Texans get an upset here, boys?
I don't see it with the way the Ravens have been playing. If I use that Dolphin stat against the Ravens, they won 10 games against teams above 500, which I think was the first time a team had done that in a long time.
So the inverse, they can beat good teams.
And they were hammering some of those good teams as well. So I feel like they're very well primed. Cutting Melvin Gordon and adding Dalvin Cook probably helps their backfield a little bit. So and Mark Andrews, I think, is back.
Yeah, Andrews, after the hip drop tackle and all of that coming into American vernacular, we've done the hip drop to death, I think, over the last few years when we're talking rugby league. But it seems like he's going to be good and recovered from his high ankle sprain. I think I've got a depth chart here. I'll see if he's going to be good to go. But yeah, all reports have said that he's back. There's no red mark next to. No, there is
questionable.
There's questionable.
He's on IR, so they'd have to.
They've got to get him off that, doesn't it?
No, he was full practice status, so he's been
practicing.
training.
So he's off IR, but he's still listed as questionable. I think ESPN's a bit slow here.
Yeah. They'll have to probably because actually I did see this because they outside of Melbourne Gordon they cut someone else, so they have 2 roster spots. They filled one with Cook. The other one will be for Andrews once they take him off IR if he's good to go. Which is looking likely.
Speaking about hammering some of those teams, so 56-19 win over Miami Dolphins, 33-19 win over San Fran in San Fran. They beat the Bengals handedly. They smashed Detroit. They've done it against some pretty handy opposition all year.
Yeah, the only one they really struggled with was the Steelers.
Yeah, that last one was certainly a big asterisk on that.
Half the team did.
Yeah, exactly. Rested everyone. So they've probably got 3 legit losses on the year.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be very, very hard for the Texans to get the job done. Stranger things have certainly happened.
And I believe I saw it was snowing in Baltimore.
Yeah, which is quite unusual, I think, for Baltimore.
Yes.
Right
on the cold.
Right on the water there. Steelers Nation Australia says Ravens suck. Sounds a little salty there, Steelers Nation Australia, but I'm sure you'll be cheering on CJ Stroud and these Texans tomorrow. Tell you what, that is a good point there. Lamar Jackson, again, we're talking about quarterbacks and talent and not possibly showing their best in when it comes to playoffs. Lamar Jackson doesn't have the greatest playoff record.
I suppose that's it. Like for the Texans to come, what's their game plan coming into this game? Is it to stuff Jackson, both at the line and run? Is it stack the front so we can't do anything?
I don't think blitzing him is the right call. I think you got to we're getting quite technical here now, but I think you got to play like that QB spy, like having someone out, just making sure that he doesn't kill you with his legs. Granted, he's not running as much as what he used to,
passing a lot more.
But you have to, if you're not respecting that and you're just blitzing him, he can cut you up straight up the middle and then turn it into a big one. Having said that, the Texans are pretty blitz heavy. I think they have sent him a fair bit, and I think the Steelers do too. And maybe that is part of the game plan. I think their offense will be backing themselves to score a few points. Made it look very easy against the Cleveland Browns defense, which had been statistically the best defense in the league. That front's pretty scary with Myles Garrett coming up to go after your rookie quarterback and inexperienced backfield trying to pick up the blitz. I think the Texans will be fancying themselves on the offensive side of the ball to at least score, but slowing down this high-powered Ravens offense is going to be a real challenge.
That's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I reckon this is going to be like a 20-10 game. I don't think
you're going the opposite. So
purely because
weather playing into a
big part,
pound the rock.
Yeah. Cold in Baltimore. I think we might see the Texans struggle to score points. Whereas that really, really suits the way the Baltimore will want to play, which will be throw when we need to and pound them out and play great defense. A very Baltimore type game. We will see. It'd be quite interesting. But Texans are fun.
They're so fun.
So we'd want them to do well, but it's the script. If I've read the NFL script, it's kind of alluding to a classic kind of Baltimore game.
That's it. Well, talking about the script, so the all-time series record between the Ravens and Texans is 11-2 for the Ravens.
Texans have been pretty stinky throughout most of their existence. But that's probably why a lot of people that have got teams that have been knocked out are probably on this Texans or possibly Lions bandwagon. I think as well, this is the first playoffs ever, NFL history, to have in the same playoff series Browns, Texans, Lions.
Yes.
Yep. Wow, yeah.
Because they both sucked for 2 decades. So.
All 3 of them. So currently -7 there in Baltimore. So if it's precipitation coming, it will be snowing. It's currently clear. Yeah. We'll see how it's looking in about 12 hours' time.
Wild.
Looks like it's still going to be cold. So.
It'll be cold. That is a no-brainer there. Should be a little bit warmer on the other side of the nation as the 49ers take on the Packers. This has often been the NFC Championship game in recent memory. And a little bit of a different sort of lead up. Always, or not always, but often it was the favoured Packers taking on the 49ers with Rodgers at the helm. And, obviously Rodgers got done by the 49ers multiple times. So completely different game script this time. 49ers been excellent all year. They're $1.20 favourites to win this. Packers are just keep saying, why not us believe? We've got this third or fourth year quarterback who's playing like an all pro in Jordan Love, and can we do it with the youngest team in the NFL?
Great question. It's how dominant the 49ers have been. They're healthy across the board. That's always been, a success to the reason why they've been dominant throughout the season. Like, you can't look past them. CMC's elite.
Arguable MVP.
yeah, probably should be MVP this season. It's going to be a really uphill battle for the Packers. And, whether having choked, let's say, against the 49ers.
They got history,
couldn't play special teams in a certain game and then that cost them to lose. Whether that, helps them at all. As in, like, they want the reverse. They want to be the spoilers in this one.
Bit of fire in the belly.
Can they get the upset? But considering no one on the Packers team probably played in any of those games, considering how young they are.
Not many. Aaron Jones.
Probably not a lot plays into that. So it's very hard to go past the 49ers based on the talent that team possesses and how they've played all season.
And we can talk to death about their offense. Their offense has been so good with the game manager just using some of the best weapons in the NFL with CMC and Kittle and that unbelievable O-line. But you look at the defensive side of the ball, any team that's got Bosa, Greenlaw, Warner, patrolling the middle, it's going to be a really tall order for the Packers. Having said that, they were $4 outsiders to go to Dallas and win there. So they'll believe.
I think what they'll have to do is have a look at that Ravens game, see what they did, see how they got pressure on Purdy, how did they force the 4 interceptions. That if they can replicate that, maybe some of the stuff they did against the Cowboys last week, that's where they'll get their chance.
100%.
They will need to get those turnovers to get a win. And if they can do that, then they can definitely upset. And
remember that Ravens 49ers game, before that game, we were talking about Brock Purdy perhaps being the MVP and going past Lamar Jackson, and he goes out there and just looked like Mr. Irrelevant with the pressure that the Ravens put on him. Now again, Packers defense and Ravens defense not quite the same. Packers defense sneaky good, but they've got a tall ask, and that's coming from a Packers fan. Into Bucks fan. My team's in the playoffs. It's second round. Your team in the playoffs?
My team's in the playoffs.
Sure. When's the last time your team won a Super Bowl? His was recent.
But I'm less recent than you. I'm like, he's actually won pretty recently.
This was 2 years ago. Yours was
10, 11 years ago, I think.
Was 8.
Yeah. It's happened. Lions, a lot of people, as we said, be on the Texans. A lot of people probably be on the Lions. It's going to be a tough ask for the Bucks to go over to that loud Ford Field.
At least it's inside. We don't have to worry about the weather.
Don't worry about the cold.
That's a big caveat here, though. They should be good weather. This will be the high-scoring game, I reckon.
Pump the overs. And inside, I feel like this would be a 48-50 kind of match points line.
The line is 49.
Ooh, I hadn't even looked at that. Maybe I spend too much time on sports betting.
And I think, the Lions will probably lead for most of this, and I think the Buccaneers will. They've got the receiving talent. They like to pass the ball. They will be competitive, and they will try to get the points and keep it together. I think they'll chase, though. I think they'll chase most of the game, and it's whether they can steal it late. That's how I feel this one will go.
Thank you, Steelers Nation Australia, in the comments there. Baker's story is good, but I don't know if it will be a Baker's delight. I think the Lions probably get the job done here and go into their first NFC Championship game in God knows how long.
Yeah, Aiden Hutchinson's had a pretty good last month.
He's fucking good, man.
Yeah. Why he went number 2, I will never know.
No, could have been on Jacksonville.
Yeah, caveat that Walker did have a pretty good year this year.
Yeah, he's not bad.
He got 10 sacks.
He's not bad. Just Hutchinson has been better. Yeah. All right, game of the round's got to be the Bills and the Chiefs, the two better teams in the AFC in recent years.
The storyline, etc.
Yeah, massive storyline. Chiefs have been down by their lofty standards. Allen, the gunslinger, can be rocks or diamonds. He was certainly diamonds last week. Are we looking forward to this one, boys? And how do we see it playing out?
Well, it's going to be cold. Yeah. It's going to be snowing again. They'll have a decent crowd, of course. Bills fans, Bill Mafia will turn out. Who takes this one? Don't know.
I don't think you could rule out Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs, man.
But I also think this is Mahomes' first road playoff game.
Yeah, they always have to go through Arrowhead.
Yeah.
So when the Bengals, beat them there, and they'll call on it Burrowhead and all of that rhetoric. So different now that they've got to go out on the road. Speaking of Bills' home ground, have you guys seen the weird thing that these crazy Bills Mafia guys have been doing by jumping into the pond at the new stadium?
I've heard the story. They've been sacrificing it because they haven't lost the game since someone fell into it.
Someone fell in it and they had to be fetched out, and it's like this pit of frozen mud essentially. They've just dug, they've excavated the future stadium site, and someone fell into it, and now before each game,
and then they won. So they're like, let's just do it again, and then they won.
And you have to sacrifice someone to the
frozen
site
pond.
cut.
Yeah. So I think they're 6-0 since they started sacrificing fans. So
wow,
Bills Mafia hit different, man. They're probably the craziest bunch in
jump through burning tables, etc. So hey, if you live in Buffalo, you got to do something.
Go muddy up and jump in that.
That's it.
Yeah. Well, they've had travel bans because of the weather. So they essentially had, stay at home, don't risk going out because it's too dangerous. So,
yeah.
That's be another very cold, very interesting football game. I just don't think this Kansas City's going to win the Super Bowl.
You going Bills?
Yeah, I think it's Bills here with a bit of that home field advantage. Does Kels retire? His brother potentially retiring. He's pretty close. He's got the girl of his dreams.
Might be travelling the world on Taylor Swift tours.
Does it really need to go again? I think if they went all the way and won another Super Bowl, he'd be done. 100%, I don't think he'd come back. But get knocked out here.
Still pretty good. Still probably top 3 tight end in the league. Mm-hmm. You see as well on the season, he missed 1,000 yards by 16 or something.
Yeah.
I can't believe they didn't just get that into it.
No, it was his choice. Yeah. He sat the last game.
True.
So he was just like,
not worth the injury.
Playoff winning Super Bowl, more important than getting 16 yards and getting 1,000 for the year. But his numbers have been down since all the Taylor Swift stuff. They have been winning.
We're still talking about a tight end nearly getting 1,000 yards.
Yeah. But by his lofty standards, down. So
how many was it? There was 984.
984. Yep.
Touchdowns were down though.
Touchdowns 5 for the season.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Slightly distracted.
Yeah. I don't know. As long as Patrick Mahomes is still balling, I can't see.
That's my
Travis,
thoughts, man. Yeah.
Doing anything. It's Brady Gronk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
True.
And they're these super, super competitive guys that have got the taste for it now. I'd imagine he goes around again. And I think the Chiefs win this game.
35 though, I think going on 36.
I don't think he's that old.
He's 98. He's 98, baby.
98? 88.
88. 89. 89.
Bloke's got fucking 10 years left in him.
Yeah. He's just starting in the league. He's an 89 baby.
So he turns 35 this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, he can play another year if he wanted to.
I'll get the confirmation. Yes, he's 34, same age as us.
Yep.
I'm not 34 yet, you old fuck.
Give it a month or so, bro.
Can you go most receiving yards by tight end NFL history? So Tony Gonzalez would be ahead of him. I'm assuming Antonio Gates is ahead of him, or is he gone?
He is older than all of us.
There you go. And slightly more athletic. And slightly
debatable.
And we're not won't bring the wives and girlfriends into it, but slightly more famous.
Yep.
Jason Witten, he's fourth.
Jason Witten,
so he's fourth. He's
we're more famous than our girlfriends, so that's good. Our wives. So
are we famous?
We're more famous than they are. Whereas is the opposite, so we'll take that.
By technicality.
Travis Kelce, 500 yards behind Antonio Gates when it comes to tight ends. And
Overall,
there's-
like
so he's fourth.
He's fourth,
So he could go to third, but there's no chance he's catching Witten or Gonzalez.
Yep.
Gonzalez, freak, man. 15,000. Like, he's still 4,000 yards behind Tony Gonzalez. And he's played 110 games less. Incredible longevity from Tony Gonzalez.
Yep.
Yeah.
A little bit of coaching chat. We've sort of alluded to bits and pieces. So Bill Belichick gets the sack. So long. After 20 years, good luck. I don't recall saying good luck. Something along those lines. Yep. Mike Vrabel goes. Yep. Now, there's a Patriots connection there. Does Vrabel go there? No, he doesn't, because Jared Mayo gets it. So he hasn't coached.
Head coach, no.
He hasn't head coach.
Yeah,
no.
he's been with the Patriots for quite a while and seen across league circles as being an up and coming head coach. And
he's only young as well, isn't he?
yes, and the Patriots have kept
37.
him in house and hired him. I think he's now the youngest head coach in the NFL.
Is he younger than McVay?
Younger than McVay. McVay's had it for the last 3 or 4 years.
He won the Super Bowl when he's fucking 31 or something.
Yeah. I think McVay was saying, making jokes. It's like, oh, finally someone's younger than me being a head coach. But I think that's a good story there again for Mayo to take over that position, take over that job there. The Patriots, he's going to have a tough time of it. They need a quarterback, or they need to find something with the quarterbacks they have. And then Pete Carroll was the other one, as mentioned before. There was
crazy,
a bit of a shocker there. So Pete kind of not sacked, not fired, sort of, mutual agreement, separation. Will probably move into the
He's like front office kind of
exactly.
role now, isn't he? He's a consultant. Yeah.
Keep him around the club, help them, find a replacement and see what happens. And then today the Raiders hired was former interim head coach Antonio Pierce. So he also will stay with them for the foreseeable future. He was did he even play? I think he played for the Raiders. He definitely played for the Giants. I do remember that. But was well liked by the players, and a lot of them wanted him to stay around.
As a player, Redskins and Giants only.
Yeah, I think he coached linebackers coach for a year.
Yeah, for Raiders, he's been on their coaching staff. Also been with Arizona State and was a Long Beach Poly high school head coach. A lot of NFL players come out of that school, high school.
Yeah, well, that's probably the Raiders connection then, because when they were originally LA Raiders and then moved and etc.
Thank you, Steelers Nation Australia. Played for Giants when they won the Super Bowl with Eli.
So outside of that, Panthers, Chargers, Hawks, Titans and Commanders all interviewing everyone, and I think Falcons should be on that list as well. I missed them. Falcons.
Well, they're above because they've
that's right. Yes,
already interviewed with Belichick. So.
For the second time, as mentioned before. So that's looking pretty likely. And then Harbaugh, I can't even say the name. Jim Harbaugh also had his second interview today. So they look like heavy favourites there for the Falcons job at the moment.
So good chance that both teams that were in the Natty for the college ball both need new coaches. Quick story about the Welsh fella, Lewis Rees-Zammit. He's given up playing rugby to pursue playing NFL. Now, obviously, Val Holmes and Jared Hayne come to mind as Aussies, and it didn't really work out for either of them.
Yeah,
this
I
guy
guess stars of a different sport that then went across. Different to, say, Malenta, who's kind of came through this program as an unproven Australian and has been dominant there as left tackle.
One of the highest paid Australian athletes in the world now, Jordan Mailata. This fella, Lewis Rees-Zammit, 10.4, he runs 100 metres. So can't teach that kind of speed.
Also at 6'3", 200 pounds.
Yep.
So he's a big lad. Plays on the wing for Wales. Played internationally for them. I think he had about 30 caps from what I remember.
He's also not that old. I think he's about 23.
22. So,
Yep.
definitely young. He's going to come through the international pathway. And they've actually extended the international pathway. So every practice squad will have a designated position for an international pathway player if they want to add it. So there's potential to add 32. But they go through this program to see if they've got the required sort of talent, understanding of the game to be given a practice squad position. I think I worked out the money. It's a slight pay cut for him. I think it's about 200. I think he was on 220, 250 odd pounds, not official numbers, current contact, and it's about 200 pounds, 200k pounds for a practice squad position, which I can't remember the USD conversion. So still good money.
But
To do nothing, essentially,
Yeah.
as a comparison to being a top flight rugby player. So it'll be interesting. He's the biggest name on that list. There's a few Australians that have played a little bit of rugby league going across as well. A bunch of Irish, Englishmen, I assume former rugby guys by the looks of that.
There's a typo in there as well. There's a guy from the country of England. Sounds like a country. Oi, lad. Yeah, fucking lad. George Smith. Patrick Murtaugh is one of the Aussies. Scroll back up. Jotham Russell. Murtaugh I've heard of before. He played a bit of tight end. I haven't heard anything of this Jotham.
I think Russell was the Brisbane player. He was in the Broncos feeder system.
Right.
Yeah, right.
So keep an eye on that. It's always fun when we see Aussies or internationals making it in the NFL. And yeah, Lewis Rees-Zammit, probably the big name there from the international pathways next
It'd
year.
be very, very interesting because he'd be a big running back. But I think their pathways for him is probably punt returner, kick returner, and then see if he can get a couple carries in the preseason and put some good tape down.
That'll do it for the NFL segment. Games in about less than 12 hours, so can't wait. Everyone's picks, please, for
Super Bowl.
just for NFC and AFC championship games.
Oh, so next week's games. Well, we have Ravens.
Yep, Ravens mine.
And Bills, I think was what I was saying, which would be a very tasty matchup.
I'm going to go Ravens Chiefs.
Yeah, I'll go Ravens Chiefs.
And then what was the other side? Lions and Packers. Not your Packers.
Don't everyone pick him.
No Packers. I think it's got to be the Niners.
Niners.
It's going to be very hard for the Packers to go to Levi.
I just got to go with them. They're my team. I don't think there's much thought going into
Heart, not
that.
head.
So I'll say Packers v Lions, NFC North championship game. That'd be good.
Yeah.
You got to go the other way, surely.
Yeah, 49ers, Bucks.
Fun.
Very fun. It would still be very good to see the Lions go through as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Long suffering.
Yes.
Seeing grown men cry in that stadium. That doesn't get lead in your
That's
pencil.
it.
I don't know what will. Coming from a Packers fan. All right, let's talk some hoops.
Curry sets, fires, puts it up. Bang!
Boston's finally lost a game, so they lost today.
Up the Nugs?
But to the Nugs, who are looking very good. This could be the NFL, the NBA finals after just talking about NFC champions. So that means the Celtics are 20-1 on the season. They had won 27 in a row at TD Garden, going back to last year. Bucks in second. See that Dame Lillard dagger?
Yep.
There was
Same time.
4 and a bit seconds left on the inbound, so they had to get it in quick, get a few dribbles in, and they sort of let it rip from halfway between the logo and the three-point arc, and it went in, and that was to win by 1. So it was a real dagger for Kings fans. 76ers, so we were speaking last pod about the Embiid streak. That's continued. He did miss a couple through injury, but he's got 19 games now where he scored 30 or more. He's under $3 for the first time this year to be the MVP. I think barring injury or Joker just going absolutely berserk, post All-Star break, I think it's all his.
Yeah, which is kind of where we were, I think, last year as well. So, Embiid will probably top the scoring again. Whether he misses too many games towards the back end of the season, like last year, that really hurts his chances. It'll be interesting. But they played Nuggets this week as well, and that was a really good game. I think over 140 for both of them, and both sides that was teams. So a bit of back and forth and a high scoring. So it will be interesting battle to follow with the two big men, with who's going to steal the MVP.
Cavs are looking pretty interesting. They've won 6 in a row, including hammering the Bucks. That was after that crazy overtime win. So I think it was the day after too. So
weren't we worried about them considering injuries that they were going to slide?
Well, Evan Mobley and who else was out? Darius Garland. So they've both made returns, and when they've got their role players like like Georges Niang, the minivan, starting to become a bit of an NBA journeyman, scoring 33 points. He missed one from the field, went 5 for 6 from 3-point land. He had an incredible night against one of the best teams in the NBA. Did you guys see the Spider Mitchell assist?
No,
Set him up. Was driving, drew about 3 defenders, no look behind the back, pops it out to Niang, who has all day to shoot it, and he sinks the 3. Spider Mitchell, he's different. Cavs are fun, man. They got a good young team, and obviously a lot stronger. In the last 18 months with the arrival of Mitchell. Stephen A. He was tooting his horn about the Packers. He had predicted that the Cowboys would
stink,
do a Cowboys thing and lose, but he's also trying not to get his hopes up about his Knicks.
He's getting stuck in a Skip, so
I don't like either of these, man. I think I hate Skip more.
We'll put
it that way. So Kendrick Perkins was trying to get him to take the bait, and how they're looking this year. They might be going to the conference finals. I don't know how he figures that, because those 4 teams above him look pretty
very
good
good.
as well.
Yeah.
And he was taking it maybe a little theatrical in the way that it does for a bit of entertainment's sake, but saying that they've been breaking my heart every year since they were 5. Or since he was 5, the Knicks haven't been in a conference finals for a long time. I don't see it happening this year, and albeit Brunson and Randall very good, I just don't know if they've got enough other pieces.
Look at those top 3 and you're like, no. Nope.
Heat, we always talk about them and can't rule them out.
Yeah, Heat are exactly where Heat need to be. So
there or thereabouts. Probably biggest news of the week, Pascal Siakam goes to the Pacers. They traded everything for him.
Yep.
So they're really putting their chips in now. And the way that Halliburton's been playing, you kind of like, okay, well maybe they can set up this sort of big 3 with Tyrese and Miles Turner. So they gave up Bruce Brown, Jordan Nwora, and Kira Lewis. So Bruce Brown was a starter for them. They brought him in from the Nugs, about halfway through last season. And they also give up 3 first-round picks, so that's a lot to get there, man. Pascal Siakam, probably the best player on that Raptors side, barring maybe Scotty Barnes in terms of looking ahead towards the future. That's a big get for the Pacers, and you certainly can't rule them out. Now with 3 sort of world class players on their list. Magic are sliding a little. They're 22-20. Bulls, they're the first team below 500. You guys see Jerry Krause getting booed? Well, he's passed away, but they
added it. They did the Bulls Ring of Honor. He was included in it,
and his widow was there. Poor form, I thought. The Last Dance obviously paints him out to be
he's the villain,
a big villain. And you can only sort of go off what you hear.
But that's also probably dramatised a little bit.
A bit of maybe sort of poetic license in that documentary, one of the all-time sports documentaries. But fact of the matter was, he brought 6 championships to Chicago, and they haven't been able to replicate it since. Arguably the best basketball player of all time on their team, but he had a lot to do with getting him into that system. I thought pretty poor from Chicago fans to be booing. There, Hawks are sliding, and now we're starting to talk about teams looking towards next year.
Well, Raptors was mentioned before with the trade going full rebuild.
Full rebuild. So I think there's only one player. I think only Chris Boucher's there from the 2019 championship team. So Kawhi Leonard, obviously the biggest star from that team. He's been with the Clippers along with Norman Powell. But then they've lost Kyle Lowry to the Heat. Fred VanVleet started the year, went to the Rockets, and OG Anunoby as well recently to the Knicks. So they've just gone, fuck it, we've got 3 first-round picks. We'll put our chips in the coming years. You see Darko as well. I think I sent it to you boys. Fiery, Balkan man, going absolutely ham on the officials after the loss to the Lakers. But he was pretty adamant that Scotty Barnes is going to be All-Star. He's going to be All-Star. All the country, he's best man. Scotty Barnes, fucking, and he's probably sipping rock out. Threw it out. Darko, he's a fiery man, and he's got a lot of faith in Scotty Barnes. So Scotty's going to be the face of that franchise moving forward.
So of those 3 first rounders, I assume they're spread over a couple of years. They're not all in the upcoming draft.
Can you get the deal? I'd be surprised. Yeah, well, they wouldn't have 3 to pick. They wouldn't have 3
unless they've got
3 to.
They've got some extras and they've traded some away.
I think you're right. I don't think it's all next year. No.
So a bit of time to capitalise on them, but they'd hopefully want to be getting some return so they can capitalise on the way Scotty Barnes.
I don't mind it. Like, it's just literally just white flagging this year, trading away your best player and just looking, to go full rebuild. But it'd be interesting to see, where those picks are, Monks, if you wouldn't mind chasing that up. Bottom 3 teams, they're also looking towards the next year. That's Hornets, Wizards, and the Pistons. Did win a game, albeit against the Wizards. But when you've won 4 in the year, you take all the wins that you can get.
You never know; they might claw their way off the bottom of the table. I've seen some video of them playing, and it's not pretty.
Who's that chick in? I'm really struggling now. I don't think either of you guys are going to know. There's a chick playing college ball that's really, really good. White girl, Caitlin.
Yeah, I know. I've seen it on socials.
Yeah.
But who does she play for?
Iowa State.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, she's good. She likes putting 40 up each night.
Yeah.
But
she's doing the Steph Curry 3-point shots and just walking away before it lands. Yeah.
She's sick, and all the comments are like, Pistons, get on the Pistons now. She'll save them.
They've moved away from murdering their team. So.
We don't hate them that much.
That's it.
Did you find that deal there?
Yep. Yeah. So Raptors get 2 2024 first round picks and 1 conditional pick in the 2026.
So 2 years later.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So that's not too bad. They get 2 coming straight up. So hopefully be able to get some value out of that and pair some guys with Scotty.
Caitlin Clark is that girl's name of the Iowa Hawkeyes. Keep an eye on her. She's only 21. She will be a WNBA superstar.
Yep.
/ Detroit Pistons retired jersey.
What's happening in the West?
The West, the Wolves still on top, continue to impress. A huge sort of matchup in the coming 10 days. They play OKC twice, and their first one is tomorrow. Basketball shan't be getting too much of a look in on my telly tomorrow, but I'll definitely watch the highlights. The bookies don't believe in either of these 2 teams, so much like in years past when no one was believing in, say, the Nuggets, the odds don't reflect the Wolves and Thunder being real deals. Wolves are $9 to be conference champs, so NBA champs must be close to $20. And OKC around about the same.
Yeah, all I ever see on my basketball feed is Anthony Edwards highlights, and he's been killing it.
He's so good, man.
He's so good. And that's a big reason why they're up there on the top. So I think he's been very, very good. It's kind of like Ja Morant was a couple of years ago, where he's like, is he an MVP conversation? He's having that dominant of a year. Kind of feel like Edwards is going that way with the way he's playing at the moment.
Yeah, I don't think
it's like he's coming out, like he's coming of age season.
100%. Like, he's so much further ahead of where he was 12 months ago.
Yeah.
I just think MVP is a bit of a stretch.
Yeah, I agree.
You got the actual odds there?
Yeah, so that Western Conference playoff is wild. So they've got Phoenix Sun as favourites at $1.23. They're currently sitting at $8.
That's to make the playoffs.
Just to make the playoffs, yeah.
Yeah. So you're looking at the wrong thing.
We're looking at the wrong
Yeah. So Western Conference champs is what you need.
Who's going to be champion?
Nuggets are about $3, I think. Mm-hmm. Yeah, $2.88.
Well, they're currently in third, slightly behind the Thunder at the moment. They've played 2 more games.
Big story with the Thunder is Josh Giddey, and went perfect, triple-double a little while ago. They won that game by 62 points, if you don't mind coming. Charges dropped a few days later, so he's had a sort of career night and then a big thing, obviously. Lots of speculation being thrown out. We're probably not going to weigh in our 2 cents, but it's good to see that he'll be free to continue his career.
Yeah, so the interesting thing is the police investigation's been dropped, but the NBA investigation's been picked back up.
Okay.
Because they
he could face some in-league sanctions.
Exactly, yeah. They might be like, oh, you brought the game into disrepute, etc. Have a sit down for a couple of weeks.
Okay.
But I think if, the coppers couldn't get anything, they probably will just leave it be. I think I saw her as a baseball player that's in a lot more trouble than Josh Giddey is. I think they had like 600 pages of evidence of his wrongdoings with a certain young lady. So
Right roll. Was he on the FNX?
I don't think he was, but I saw that float across my news feed.
What was his name? Bill Clinton of the Atlanta Braves.
He's probably still in Mexico, bro. He's hiding.
Those Western Conference numbers, please.
Yeah, we got that there now. Yes, you're right. Nuggets are at top, $2.88. Clippers coming in second there at $5. Suns at $7. Timberwolves $9 there, along with OKC.
And a big jump out of the Mavs.
That's it.
Interesting. I think they're playing good basketball. I think, Joker come playoffs, and then the experience of the Clippers, who are starting to finally get things right. They started off pretty slow, with this aging sort of team with PG-13, Kawhi, and Harden. But Harden's been revitalised in 2024. New year, new me. He's averaging 10 dimes a game. They're 7-2 in the new year, and they're second on the odds there for West champs. Pels in fifth. I think the coming sort of weeks is going to be difficult. They've got Phoenix and OKC at home, and then they've got a road trip that's at Bucks, at Celtics. So good luck to Zion and Ingram and co there. And then we get into this log jam down through the sort of play-in areas with Mavs, Kings, Suns, Jazz, Lakers, all within a couple of games of each other. Lakers were 19-21 through 40 games last year. They were 19-21 through 40 games this year. They did make playoffs last year. Are they going to do it again this year?
Well, they lost today and they've gone under 500. So
Not looking great, is it?
new.
And LeBron is still him.
Yes. I'm not sure if LeBron played today though.
Should be an easy enough check.
I will check
Look at
that.
the box score there. I did see that he's got or opponents have the lowest field goal percentage in the league when they're guarded by year 21 LeBron.
Jeez.
Imagine if he wins Defensive Player of the Year in year 21.
No, he played. He played Saturday Anthony Davis. They lost to the Nets
They
today.
got smacked by the Nets too.
Yeah, they're a full squad.
Rockets starting to look like the Rockets of old. They've lost the 5 of their last 6. I don't think that they'll be playing playoffs, unfortunately, after the hot start. And then a bit of sad news out of Golden State with Dejan Milojevic, a.k.a. Decky, 46, and the poor bloke suffered a heart attack whilst on team dinner in Salt Lake City. I saw a few games getting postponed. I thought, well, that's unusual, and this is why. So the players, Steve Kerr and the like, all pretty rocked by it. It's also horrible for their season. You know, we've had the discussion about Draymond and his brain explosions. He's been back in the team, but it's been pretty quiet. He's also looking
Is
like
that a bad thing?
Well, yeah, maybe. But in terms of his play, we're still talking about one of the best defenders in the NFL. Fuck, that's nearly 3 times.
Take it all. Take it.
One of the best defenders in the NBA. It's looking like the season's starting to slip away. But look, basketball is pretty irrelevant when a bloke passes in his 40s. Thoughts with his family.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Grizzlies season is well and truly done, I think, with Ja. The big news from last week being that he's having season-ending shoulder surgery. This is a weird one. So sort of
Out of the blue, really.
picked up my interest as well, given, my job. Tore his labrum. So the labrum is like a bit of cartilage that's inside your shoulder socket, keeps the humeral head from popping out. He hasn't had an obvious dislocation. They said he suffered a subluxation at training, which is essentially like when it just clicks out and comes back in. And he must have torn his labrum just from that. So typical recovery is about 6 months. So better for him to have the surgery now, call it a season, and try again next year.
Yeah, exactly. They'd be struggling without him, so they're bottom of the table essentially. So they had a tough ask to even be competitive this year. He would have had to play nearly every game. And, if his shoulder's not great, they've taken the hit this year and they'll try again next.
It's crazy in the games that he did play, how much better they were with Ja back. But, I think that season done for the Grizz.
Yep.
And Blazers and Spurs also will be looking at draft picks for next year.
Yep.
All right, should we talk some soccer, football?
Let's go.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, we have to talk about the male Matildas. Shout out to Batuta with that one. Yeah, pretty good gear, I think. Obviously, the Tillies heroic in their semi-final berth last year at the World Cup, but we do need to talk Asian Cup here in the men's. I did stay up last weekend to watch the India game. A little bit scrappy, I must say. We won 2-0. Matt Ryan out there with the face mask on. He had a broken cheekbone in the lead up. Had a lot of possession, just couldn't really score. It was a 0-all first half. Second half, we scored. The first goal was quite scrappy. It was a keeping error from the Indian keeper. Jackson Irvine put it in, and then a little bit of super sub action. So Jordan Boss, who had that big transfer deal to leave the A-League to go over to play in Belgium, scored with his first touch after coming on. So Graham Arnold looking like a bit of a super coach there. 70% of the ball, only 6 shots on target, was a bit worrying.
From
and
28, so probably throw that out there.
exactly. So a bit of shooting practice was needed. And then Syria actually had more ball than the male Matildas did in this one a couple nights ago. 60th minute, Jackson Irvine put in a really good setup from Martin Boyle, who skinned a few defenders. But yeah, a bit lucky to get the win. Had less ball than the Syrians there. So we're guaranteed of progression. We're top of Group B on 6 points. Worst we can do is finish second with a loss to Uzbekistan, draw with them, and we'll have the number one in the group. And I'll quote the great Borat, as I say, fuck you, Uzbek, in the lead up to this game. Can we have a look at the other groups? So,
Group A.
so Qatar's through. They will finish in first in Group A. China probably likely to go through in second there. Going down to Group C.
Yep.
Iran are through there. Emirates will be the second team there. Your Hong Kong brethren, no good.
No good.
Iraq, that's good. You know, struggling nation.
They beat Japan?
There must have been someone good. Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
How good's that?
2-1,
2-1. So beat Japan. Look at that Japanese team. They're pretty stacked with guys at big leagues in Europe. So the Iraqis doing a massive number on them, and Japan in real danger here because Indonesia have got 3 points. So Japan have to win that game essentially to go through. Yeah. Look, on paper, probably should win. Stranger things have happened. And then we're down to a lot of speculation because these groups haven't played their second game. So Jordan and South Korea there. South Korea look pretty fucking stacked. So they probably both get out of the group there.
Yep.
And what's Group F? Thailand, Saudi Arabia, Oman, Kyrgyzstan. Fucking Saudi Arabia, we've spoken so much about this league and all of these players play in the league, and I was reading about how much they're going to dick Oman. I put a punt on Saudi Arabia, never doing that again because I took them minus the line and they only won 2-1, so that's teach me.
And they were behind for 90% of that game as well.
They were. I got up for a piss in the middle of the night and I was like, what the fuck is going on here? There is some chance for the third teams as well to get through. So we're at 24, going to 16. In retrospect, Asian Cup could probably stay at 16. I'm glad the Euros have gone bigger. But yeah, when we're talking about Hong Kong and Palestine and the other juggernauts of world football.
Thailand, etc.
Yeah. And Thailand won a game. Good on them.
True.
Qatar and Iraq, the only teams that are through. We're through. It's just whether we'll finish first or second.
First or second,
The sad news, I suppose, from the football world was Sam Kerr doing her ACL. Monks, can you get any news? The Olympics are 6 months away, so it's essentially her Olympic dreams over.
Minor miracle for her to play in that.
Yeah. She's only 30.
She needs that AP shit to be able to do it.
Yeah. And even Adrian Peterson, I think he was 8 months when he had his crazy comeback.
Yeah.
Look, you don't want to say things are impossible, modern medicine, yada, yada, but it's pretty close to it.
Yeah. It's a huge loss for the Matildas going into the Olympics.
Yeah. Big loss for, just Australian morale as well, because coming off that unreal World Cup performance, a lot of people will be around the Matildas for Paris 2024. And
do we have a flag bearer?
No, they won't announce it for months, you wouldn't think. So
do you reckon she might have already had a shoe in for it?
Well, it might be a nice gesture, yeah. She's only 30, so it's not her Olympic dreams
Well
over.
done,
She could go again in 4 years' time. Obviously a lot of work and rehab up ahead, but a real kick in the teeth for the Matildas and football fans in this country.
Yep.
EPL, not too much to talk about. It's been pretty quiet. Chelsea had a win. City did get Kevin De Bruyne back. He is so good. Looked like he'd barely missed any football. He'd missed pretty much all of the season, had to have surgery on his hammy. And United having a draw against everyone's second team with Big Ange at the helm with Tottenham. So Monk's bringing up the table there. Not too much has changed. Liverpool 2 points clear of City. Villa and Arsenal round out the top four. Tottenham are equal with Arsenal. They're only behind on goal difference. West Ham, United, Chelsea into ninth. And then scrolling down to the bottom there, Sheffield and Burnley are pretty much in trouble. They're in big trouble. Luton, Everton, Brentford all also in relegation danger.
Yep.
Yeah, and during the week we had that financial breaching by Everton again. They're already facing
So can they take more points off them?
Well, they're currently appealing their 10-point penalty, but it's been applied. So they've already got that, and I guess there is potential to take more off them. And then Not Forest was the other one that also had been in breach of the. You can't lose money because they're losing money essentially. They're I guess ducking them 10 points and putting them out of any competition. It's not great for crowds and people want to interest them.
It's kind of counterintuitive, isn't it?
It is.
Well, to get promoted up and then just have your points all docked off.
I guess it's like pay less on players and everything else to be profitable, I think is what they're saying. And they're just like, we just want to spend, we still want to be competitive. But they're then obviously falling down.
Money to make money.
Yeah, they're not being profitable in the league. So
meanwhile, Man City doing the Homer Simpson into the fucking hedge. That's it for soccer. African Cup of Nations is on at the moment. I haven't seen any of it, but there's a few big African stars that aren't in their big European leagues at the moment, i.e. Salah at Liverpool.
Yep.
All right, let's talk final round.
It's the final round.
Huge UFC 297 upcoming tomorrow. Quick look back at last week was the first event of the UFC for the year, so missed it a little bit. It's been about a month without the UFC.
Quiet.
Yep.
Magomed Ankalaev getting the win in light heavyweight against Johnny Keep On Walking, and lightweight Jim Miller also get a win, the ageless Jim Miller, and he's been announced for UFC 300, which we'll get to in a second. But let's preview tomorrow's big fights. The first pay-per-view event for the year coming from Toronto, Canada, and we'll start from the top of the card, the one that everyone is looking forward to. We've been sort of talking about it for a few months here on the Esky. The champion, Sean Strickland, taking on the two in Dricus Du Plessis. Du Plessis is 20-2. He's not lost in the UFC and really gave Strickland the opportunity to become the middleweight champ. He pulled out of the fight against Israel Adesanya at UFC 293 due to a broken foot. Izzy obviously going on his rant that had a lot of expletives that you might find in rap songs in the octagon, aimed at Dricus, and they don't get the fight in the end because Strickland stunned the world, and it all happened here in Sydney back in September when he performed one of the biggest upsets in UFC history when he beat the champ Israel Adesanya. How do you see this one playing out, boys?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting fight because Strickland's kind of the fighter. You don't see how he wins this fight. Like even against Israel, it's like how was he going to do it? And it's forward pressure,
forward
pressure, and heaps of defensive skill set. That's the way he's going to go out there and win. Didn't work against Alex Pereira, but that's a different beast when you get hit by those stone hands. But against Israel, it worked. Whether that works for Du Plessis is the question. So that's the kind of where the fight's going to be. Sean's going to be coming forward the whole time, and Du Plessis, I think, is going to try and he's a big dude, especially once he rehydrates.
He's a fucking big middleweight. Dude.
Yeah, so
he likes to finish fights as well.
Yeah, he'll be
only
throwing,
one's gone to decision.
He'll be throwing some bombs. So
only one's ever really gone to decision.
Yeah. Whereas, like, for how dominant Strickland was over Israel, it still went to decision. So it still went the full 5 rounds. So Sean looks like he's in incredible shape from all the pictures I've seen. So he looks like he's up for this one, and it'll be very interesting. There's been a lot of back and forth with what's happened there. And it seems like they've kind of buried the hatchet, squashed that beef, as you will, and they're just prepared to fight each other now and see who's the better man at the end of it. So I think it's going to be a good fight, and hard to pick a winner.
Yeah, well, the bookies have got the same. It's $1.90. You can't split them.
Yeah, there you go.
Jeez,
I did see something very clickbaitable that was saying that is Duplessis the best African UFC athlete?
Well, maybe he pushes that rhetoric himself because he has had sort of jabs at Kamaru Usman and Israel in that he says, well, I actually live in Africa and train out of Africa, and if I become champ, I'm actually a true African champ, whereas Israel, obviously African heritage, Nigerian heritage, same with Kamaru. But Usman spent most of his life in the States and Israel most of his life in New Zealand. So Drake is really pushing that, if you're African, get around me sort of rhetoric because, he lives and trains out of South Africa. Ngannou also, that awesome story as told on Rogan of getting out of Cameroon. Lots of his life out of France. Looking at Dreykus's record, so hasn't lost in the UFC. Like you were saying, Monks tends to finish fights as well. He came through the South African EFC and was just dominant, didn't lose in that. And he was winning fights at the age of like 19, 20 in that. And hasn't put a step wrong since he's been in the UFC and really paced up Robert Whittaker in his last fight. So he's certainly got the skills. Like you said, he's a fucking big middleweight and has a wrestling judo background. So if he gets his mitts on Strickland, it could be game over. We saw the striking ability of Sean Strickland in that Adesanya fight, and his striking's really only gone from strength to strength, it seems, over the last few years. So that seems to be the matchup there is the striking power of Strickland versus the grappling of Duplessis.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
Going for anyone in particular? Sean obviously rubs some people the wrong way. He's outspoken. How much of it is a character? I don't know.
I think a lot of it's character.
Yeah,
it's very similar to
WWE kind of.
Yeah, same sort of thing as Covington. Like he's got to be the bad guy.
Yeah,
easy to be the bad guy for him, I guess.
And then also comes from a sort of fucked up past and pretty open about that on Rogan and Theo Von's podcast and the like. So, maybe some of that does play into it as well. But we've certainly seen the UFC athlete change a little bit over time from the, always respectful and, true martial artist sort of GSP types to these loudmouth sort of caricatures that we see with the Sean Strickland or a Colby Covington.
Yeah, I don't know, like, what makes the most interest probably in that division is what I'm trying to kind of think of, because, Whittaker there's probably as an interesting fight, but of course has been lost recently, probably needs to get a win.
And he's had, so many chances as well.
Does if Duplessis wins, does Israel probably makes the most sense. Strickland
wins. I think that's the fight.
Yeah, if Strickland wins, then you kind of rule that all out again, and you kind of.
Do you though?
Yeah, well, you don't. I don't think you run Israel back straight away, especially considering he's kind of semi-retired at the moment. It's likely he's going to be back.
But then you look at all those other guys, like Israel's beaten everyone: Cannonier, Vittori, Costa.
Well, I'm looking at that.
I feel like if Adesanya wants the rematch, I think that he has to get it.
Yeah, but I think if Duplessis wins, then it's definitely going to be Israel. If Strickland wins, I think it then opens the door for maybe Vittori, Cannonier, Whittaker, etc.
What about going down? What about Hamzat?
Well, that's the thing. Hamzat's in there is probably definitely is an interesting one.
That's it.
Paulo Costa, I think, is going to be booked. Has signed his contract to fight Whittaker as well, because they had that in late last year, and then it got canned. Which could then end up being a potential title fight eliminator.
Easy on the Venos the night before there, Paulo.
That's it.
Amongst your son?
Well, I mean, yeah, if Strickland wins, then he's probably not fighting for a good 9-12 months, I reckon, until they sort out like their order.
Yeah, they could do.
With
Have a bit of a break.
with who's on the list there and
He
at
likes
those
to be
rankings.
active, though. He does like to be active.
Could you see him move up or down? Probably more
Not,
up than
not as a champ, I wouldn't think,
No.
not as a champ.
with only one defence.
I think WC could go up if he wanted to, because just his natural size. But yeah, I think middleweight's where Strickland will stay.
Yep.
Hamzat's 13-0.
Yeah,
Has he got a next fight announced? No, so he's to be determined.
yeah.
Hamzat moving forward.
Beat Usman in a fight that probably should have been a 5-round fight, because it would have been interesting because Usman came on late in that one. So, but yeah, he's a name in there. And then, there's the young fella, Bo. He's
Nickel?
not ranked.
Bo Nickel?
But Bo Nickel, he's going to come through pretty quick, I think, as well, once they give him some ranked guys.
He's also the most recent MMA Rogan podcast. Good listen, Bo Nickel. Wrestling background, was just dominating collegiate wrestling. Had his sights set on the MMA from a young sort of man. He's like, I'm not here to party and drink in college. I don't think he really drank at all. Just trained. And looks like an absolute weapon. He is very young.
Yeah, I think I think he wrestled one of the title challenges in middleweight. Like, it was training with him, and it was just like, when I wrestled him, I knew I was going to be world champion. Because he was just that dominant. Right. So
he's older than I thought. He's 28. I thought he was like 24 for some reason.
He's been in the UFC for 3 years, I think, now.
In the UFC?
No, two.
Yeah, two fights in the UFC.
Yeah, this is his 3rd year.
So certainly a stacked division. We're probably looking way too far ahead. We've got a massive fight tomorrow. It is hard to split, but from what I've seen of Dreykus, I'm just going to lean towards him.
Yep.
Any final thoughts?
No, yeah, I think you're probably spot on there. He's probably got a slight edge in a very heavily contested fight.
Yeah,
fence sitter.
The rest of this card's not really.
It's not a huge, huge for a main event.
But then you look at what 98, 99, and 300 are doing.
That'd be wild.
They're very stacked.
There is a co-main. We need to talk about it. Probably the names aren't as big, but there is a vacant belt. Well, there's 2 vacant belts actually for the girls, but the bantamweight will be contested between Raquel Pennington and Mayra Bueno Silva tomorrow. Obviously, Amanda Nunes left a huge hole in women's MMA when she left her gloves in the octagon at UFC 289. Pennington has lost actually a title fight before to Nunes, but she's coming off 5 wins. She's looked quite good, and to be honest, I don't know a whole lot about this Bueno Silva. Do you know much?
I think I've seen a couple of her fights, but yeah, nothing. It's not jumping to memory.
I'll get you a few stats. She's a 32-year-old Brazilian. She stands at 5'7", 135.
6 year in the UFC.
And her MMA record is 10-2. She did have a no contest against Holly Holm, and before that, had 3 wins.
And, okay, she tested positive or something.
So it'll be interesting. It's going to be, a big hole left in women's fighting. It's probably not seen since Ronda Rousey left, to pursue her
name value, definitely.
Her acting. Yeah, that's right, for name value. And, Nunes is the GOAT of female fighting. So from a skill sort of perspective, there's no one that really matches the hole that she leaves.
No, not at all. The rest of the cards are
a little underwhelming.
Yeah, there's a few interesting. Neil Magny's on there.
Yeah.
Arnold Allen is also there as well. So, some fun fights there, but nothing really to write home about, unfortunately.
And it also clashes for me with the Packers. So I don't think I'll be. I don't know if I'll pay for this one.
I think the NFL will take precedent, and the UFC's not dumb, so. It's the reason why it's in Canada. And
they know what they're up against.
Yeah, exactly.
Having said that, and you just alluded to it, 298, 299, 300, just starting to look more and more saucy, aren't they?
Falk into O'Malley into 300. And 300 added Jim Miller after his win. He's going to get Bobby Green, who he asked for, I think. So he's fought at UFC 100, 200, and now will fight at 300.
How crazy. Is he 40 yet?
Oh, yeah, I'd say he'd be very close. Click on Jim Miller there, Monks. And they also added the BMF belt for Max Holloway to come up to lightweight and fight Justin Gagey, which, again, very interesting, very fun fight. So the card's kind of rounding out, starting to look very nice. It does also have the first Chinese-only title fight there for the girls in the strawweight. I think all that's lacking is the final kind of what's the top fight. There's rumours that...
what is going to be the top fight?
Yeah, there is rumours...
Yuri Prohaska and Rakic on it too. Calvin Catter and Aljamain Sterling. Bo Nicholas aforementioned.
And, and Figgy and Cody are there as well. Like, it's a great
It's
card.
a stack card, isn't it?
Yeah. So, and the rumours have been Pereira maybe coming up to fight Tom Aspen, for the interim belt in the heavyweight division. There's that. Or whether Pereira gets someone else. His name's been floated around. He is in Toronto, actually. He was there for the press conference and he got a big cheer. He's a big fan favourite. So, there's his talking about him. Connor's been booked, so he's out. I saw jokes about Brock Lesnar fighting anyone, like even some of the girls, just for shits and giggles.
Brock Lesnar's going to fight a girl.
On UFC 300.
Unless he's fighting his own daughter. I don't know if you've seen his daughter.
Yes.
She looks like she could maybe keep up with the old man a little bit.
Oh, definitely. So
that's it.
And then, so that card's kind of starting to round out. It's got some fun fights on it. And then, 298's looking pretty good. Of course, topped by Volk. Jeff Neal rebooking against Gary, as well as MRAB taking on Henry Cejudo too. So very nice.
Cejudo.
I think his name's Marab, not MRAB. Said his name in Pig Latin. Volk Topuria is mid-Feb at 298.
Oh, so and they've got Whitaker and Costa on that.
Yeah.
So it's been updated. So that was
wow.
Shame that's not in Australia.
Yeah. So that's been announced, so that's been added. Yeah. They were waiting on paperwork for Costa, but I saw during the week he'd signed it, so that's looking good. Then Sean O'Malley taking on Cheeto. So that's, their rematch.
Sean hasn't lost to him in air quotes, apparently.
Yeah. And then Dustin Poirier taking on the Frenchman.
Benoit Saint-Denis.
Yes, BSD. He's coming up in the division very, very quickly. So former special forces for France, etc. And he's been very, very good. He looks like a dangerous human being.
Yep.
Plenty happening here in the first few months of 2024 in the UFC. Fair bit happening in the boxing world as well. Shauna, you got an announcement regarding Joseph Parker?
Yeah, well, we mentioned, I think on the last potty, that Anthony Joshua was taking on Francis Ngannou. And then they've... the two top heavyweights kind of that don't get talked about. Like Zhang's been there and he's been taught in that kind of conversation. You'd be interested to check his record because I think he's fought... Who did he lose to? Did Wilder knock him out? I can't remember.
Idea.
So, but he's now been booked against Joseph Parker coming off his win against Wilder. So they're like, at the moment, say 5 and 6 in the heavyweight division.
He's 40, this Zhang Li Shang.
Yes. Doesn't matter in boxing, bro. You can throw hands.
Nickname Big
Did he
Bang.
win a gold medal? He did. World combat, not Olympic medal.
No.
Silver.
He got a silver in the Olympics back in 08.
Yeah, so what's his recent record? He's
26-1-1. His only loss was to Filip Hrgovic.
No, nothing who I was thinking on that list there. But yeah, he's been up to the top of the division for a little while and we'll get Parker. So that's guys that are coming up in the heavyweight division that get on the Anthony Joshua sort of card. Good showing in this. You maybe get the winner of Anthony Joshua versus Francis. Like you put your name in that conversation, so it's good. I'm excited for that. So that adds to that card we're already talking about, which is pretty interesting. Look, comparable opponent there. He lost to Joe Joyce.
Yeah. Who Zhang had beaten twice, but obviously coming off that big sort of unexpected win against Deontay Wilder. He's got a pretty reasonable record over the last sort of 5 years. His only loss was to Joseph Parker. So certainly really announced himself on the world stage when it comes to heavyweight boxing.
Yep. So being the co-main in that Joshua Ngannou card, it is going to be very good for them. So
that is Friday, March 8 in Saudi. That's viewing wise here. That'll be ordinary time. I think that will be early morning. I'd imagine. Yeah.
Early Saturday for us.
And from boxing to tennis, it's the time of the year when we all like to become semi-tennis experts. When the tennis is on at the premium time.
During the day.
Yeah,
All day.
Or 4 o'clock in the morning, some games.
Yeah.
But you can certainly turn on the telly, and especially on a day like today when we were expecting to have cricket to watch, you can turn on the telly at 10 a.m. and watch tennis all day.
Yep.
Starting to get to the business end in the blokes.
Novak doing Novak things.
Yeah, although he's looked beatable. So
He's dropped a few sets.
yeah, Popperin took a set off him. The young Croatian Dino Prizmic took a set off him. He's only 18, so bright future ahead of him. Went to a tiebreaker last night in the third, so he's getting pushed. Novak, he's at 35. Obviously time's going to catch up with blokes at some stage. He still is the number one seed and is very, very good at tennis. I think he won 3 of the 4 Grand Slams last year. But I just get the feeling that he is beatable. The man is human. He takes on Manarino. That's tomorrow, I believe. If you just want to keep going, we've got current games. Tsitsipas, Fritz. That's all tomorrow. I'm pretty sure. Tomorrow. Yeah.
Yep.
Anyways, may as well read them out.
Yeah, go back to
Just go back to this one.
So keep scrolling down. Yeah, so Taylor Fritz, the 12th seed, takes on 7th seed Stefanos Tsitsipas. Awesome game with Jordan Thompson in the second round against Tsitsipas. Took the first set off him, forced 2 tiebreakers, but just couldn't quite get the bickies there. All the Aussie hopes lying with the Demon, who we'll get to in just a second. Yannick Sinner, the German Italian, he's looked pretty good, hasn't dropped a set yet. Absolutely destroyed the 26th seed Argentinian Baez last night. He gets the Karen in tennis, Karen Kachanov. Always funny. Bloke called Karen. Don't kill me, he's Russian.
I was going to say, where is he playing out of? He doesn't have a flag.
He doesn't have a flag, yes.
Means Russia.
And all the Aussies' hopes will be relying on the Demon's shoulders. So he takes on another Russian in Rublev. That's tomorrow. Demons look pretty good as well.
How old's the Demon now?
He's 28 maybe, I reckon. He's probably hitting his prime. He's playing the best tennis of his life. 24.
Oh,
wow, I
geez.
was way overs there. Okay. There we go. Can't get the
He is a 99, baby. There you go.
Yeah, swap him.
there we go.
Him and Bo Nickel. That's what I must have swapped them in my head. From tennis to the UFC. So there'll be a lot of eyeballs on that one tomorrow. And then I think as the rest of the fourth rounders have been determined, Hurkacz is through, Medvedev is through. So there's some ongoing. So Zverev and Mickelson, they're playing now. Cameron Norrie got through Casper Ruud. So a few seeds starting to go through. And a lot of eyes will be on the 2 seed, Carlos Alcaraz, the future of tennis.
Yeah.
Already has 2 Grand Slams under his belt. So a lot of pressure and expectation around him. I'm gonna go something a bit fun. I'm gonna go Yannick Sinner for the upset. Hasn't dropped a set yet. I think he's looking pretty good. And if you're dispatching 26 seeds and only dropping 4 games, I think the world's your oyster.
Also happens to be Italians. So.
Yeah, that's right. Once the Aussies
truth
inevitably
comes
get knocked out, probably jump on the heritage. Yeah, German-Italian heritage. Don't know about that. Anyways, you seen the bloke? He's got like he looks so not Italian.
Okay.
Click on him, Yannick Sinner. Ready? He's like a curly-haired red nut.
All right,
There he is.
You're right.
Where's he from? Look, even the
Monaco?
No, well, he lives in Monaco. But
lives
he's
in Monaco
from.
now.
Click on that Innichen. Yeah, South Tyrol. So this would be right on the border with Austria.
Yeah, northern Italy.
Yeah, there you go.
So there you go. Hardly Italian. You want to jump over to the girls? Or any sort of picks? Can someone beat the Joker?
Well, Carlos did it last year. So,
Yeah.
if that's the way it's going, that's where the script seems to go. But yeah, there's a few interesting ones. I'd like to see a Demon go a little bit deeper and maybe make a bit of noise, a bit of hometown advantage for him.
They'll be loud tomorrow. Bit's been said about the crowds. A few of the players getting the shit, saying that it's
Too noisy?
a bit too rowdy, a bit too bogan, if you will.
Oh, well, I'm Australia, bro.
Yeah, I think I like it. I reckon it's
Yeah.
hard. Obviously, you got to be quiet when they're trying to serve and shit, but yeah, it adds to the theatrics of it. And much like we've seen with sort of live golf in the last few years, maybe brings in a new set of younger eyeballs.
I feel like Australian Open's been like that the last couple of years. And,
Yeah.
I think you kind of you should expect it going into it that it's not going to be whisper quiet. It's not Wimbledon, so
No.
It's a different sort of crowd.
And we get the beautiful part of this country and beautiful part of Melbourne, the multicultural aspect of it. Yeah, it's not unusual to see, Greek flags, Serb flags, all of these, European migrants that we have here in this beautiful country really rally around their players. So often, you'll watch a Tsitsipas play, or when Baghdadis used to play, and it felt like it could be in Europe, given the multicultural nature of Melbourne.
Yeah, I think they're pretty happy with the weather in Melbourne as well. It's been mid-20s, low 20s.
Yeah, it hasn't been stinking hot.
Yeah, not the 30s, high 40s that they've been seeing on court temperatures. I think the hottest day I saw was next Wednesday at 32. So,
hey, that's just happened this afternoon. So Iga Swiatek is out. So she's the number one seed. She must have just lost recently to an unseeded Noskova. So that means a lot of the top seeds are out. I think Rybakina lost early. Can you just go back up to the seeds? Yeah.
Yeah, you had...
so Rybakina's gone, Pegula's gone, Ons Jabor's gone, Sakari's gone.
Well, of the top 10...
There's only 2 left, I think.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, that's it. So Sabalenka, Coco Gauff are the only 2 top 10 left, and we're not even through the 4th round yet. So good chance an unseeded girl is in the semi-final or possibly final. Sabalenka will be licking her lips now that Swiatek's out too.
Yep.
So she's the defending, big, strong Belarusian. Also doesn't get a flag, poor thing. But gets dragged in with their shit. A little bit lackluster now. Ash Barty's retirement leaves a huge hole in girls tennis.
Not only Ash, but the Williams sisters. Like there's a whole bunch of like that kind of generation of tennis is retired off.
And I was going from an Australian perspective.
Yeah, yes.
I think there's 6 Aussie girls that were in this, and none of them got through the second round. Storm Hunter lost last night. Very rugby league name. You could see Storm Hunter getting through to the 4th round of the Australian Open, or playing second row for the fucking West Tigers. It's a very rugby league name. But yeah, I think all the Aussie girls are out. So I don't know. Quite fond of Sabalenka and her tennis ability, so might jump on jump on her for the rest of it. But yeah, lots of unseeded girls there in the 4th round for the girls. Which seeds are still in here? Paolini, Azarenka,
26,
12
Zheng.
I watched a bit of that. That was on this afternoon against the other Chinese girl.
None there.
And Coco Gauff.
There.
Krejcikova's still there, and then Sabalenka, as aforementioned. So seeds are starting to run few and far between in the ladies.
Yeah, I think you're looking at the top 30 there. There was like 5 or 6
He's
left.
gone.
So
He's gone. We were talking about it in the groupie a little. It's and obviously the caveat with the men's, over the last 20 years is often the seeds have been Djokovic, Nadal, Federer, and they're always there. Whereas a little bit of unpredictable nature with women's tennis, particularly like we say with no Williams girls, no Ash Barty, it means that it gives a lot of these younger girls the opportunity, and also the fact that they play 3 sets. You have to be on your game for a shorter period of time, which means the margin for error is smaller. So
drop a set.
You drop, even you have your serve broken, and you're down 1 set, and you've only been playing for 35 minutes. You could be looking at an early round exit just within an hour and a half of play.
Yeah, and compared to what we we're talking about before with the boys, and you're playing 5 and you could be playing at 3-4 o'clock in the morning. So
yeah,
they got to sort that shit out. Hey, that goes. It's not good for viewing. It's not good for the players, obviously. And if you're the player, surely they just get to a point where they say, okay, there's no play past say 1 o'clock. Would you rather just resume, have 8 hours sleep? I suppose it does chew into their recovery time the next day.
I think they've got a general idea on how long the games go. I think they're just going to start sooner.
And they've got so many courts. The problem is when games go long on the main courts, and it just pushes the late game later and later. But it's I don't know. I can't do anything late in these days.
When did that game start? I
think at 11:30. I think it started, something like that. They were playing till 4 in the morning.
Come back tomorrow morning. Fuck that.
Yeah,
that's silly.
Was that?
That was a Medvedev game the other night. I'm pretty sure that. Yeah, it finished at like ungodly hour.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I think that they went straight to revolver for kick-ons. Like revolver's just heating up at that time of the night, allegedly. So yeah, that's Australian Open. Next podcast we do, we'll have a winner. Can anyone beat the Joker in the men's? Can anyone beat Sabalenka, the defending champ in the girls?
So that game finished at 3:40.
3:40 was it
on Friday morning?
I was throwing a little bit of mayo on there.
So
they're probably
women's-
rocking up to revs at 4:20.
So they had 2 women's matches lasting a combined 6 hours beforehand,
Yeah, right.
including so that had the longest tiebreak in
That's
the Grand
right.
Slam history. So that's what they backed into.
Yeah, that was a 37-minute tiebreak or something.
Yes, yeah.
It's like-
It was like
that
it
can
was
be a-
28-26 or some shit.
That can be a set sometimes, especially in the girls. So it certainly hasn't lacked entertainment value the first week and a bit of the AusOpen, and now we get to the real pointy end. So looking forward to seeing how it all plays out, and obviously be wishing Alex Demon all the best tomorrow from an Australian perspective. He'll be flying the flag. Anything else to touch on?
No, I was just seeing if I could get a 11 o'clock start. Yeah.
Hey, Perth Scorchers, 4 for 68. We'd spoken about it at the start of the podcast. We had the strikers.
Target 156.
Yeah, strikers going through. So this will be the late night viewing here on your crazy Saturday night.
They've scored, from memory, about 15 runs in the last 5 overs.
Yeah,
so they've
right.
really slowed them down.
Cooper Connolly, he's going to allegedly play for Australia moving forward. Josh Inglis has played for Australia, probably plays a lot more. So their chance to get some quality runs here for the Perth Scorchers.
Yeah, I'm just seeing if there's anything interesting of late.
The Smitty's in the chat, 49ers. He says 40-13 Niners. The bookies probably would agree. I think that they've given about 10-point head start. So we'll see how that all unfolds tomorrow. Enjoy your NFL if you're watching that tomorrow. Enjoy the UFC if you're watching that. Rugby league. We didn't chat briefly on. Dragons, shit show.
True. Yeah.
Corey Allen, poor fella, does an ACL. Ronald Volkman, they did an absolute disservice to him.
I think his
and
agent
now-
also kind of fucked it up, I think, too, as well.
Yeah, possibly. And the Warriors knew something was going on. He probably knew. But anyways, they announced the signing. He comes over. Physio looks at his shoulder. The word that he used to describe his shoulder was a great medical term, said it felt like chocolate. I don't know what kind of chocolate we're going here.
Soft and brittle?
Chocolate, chocolate that's been sitting
Like ready to snap?
been sitting in the car for, the 3 days in a hot summer's day, that kind of chocolate. But the poor bloke, he failed his medical, needs a shoulder reco, and they tore up the non-existing contract. So
I think the Warriors...
Dragons being Dragons there.
I think the Warriors let him go because he had a contract in place, and it's like, they must know, and they're happy to sign him with knowledge of the injury, but they obviously didn't until he showed up and they tested him. So, which, is not great on... I think it's just a lack of communication probably across the board from everyone involved.
Yeah.
And I think...
Which is typical rugby league.
Very rugby league, very Dragons. Sucks for most parties involved, but it mostly sucks for him.
Yeah. The rule change for NRL as well this season?
Yeah, the dropout.
So dropouts will be... So if you kick it out off a dropout, it's not a penalty. Means that you'll be able to... We'll probably go short dropouts more regularly, trying to contest the short dropouts, which we saw sort of taking precedence last year anyway.
Same from kickoffs as well. So can you can do a dropout from a kickoff, can't you? It doesn't have to be off the tee.
No, it has to be off the tee.
Has to be off the tee.
Yeah, rugby.
Okay. I know rugby definitely does. I was just like maybe it's an NFL thing that it's allowed. Yeah. I think you can do a drop kick in the NFL, but no one does it because the ball's they always complain it's too hard to do a drop kick with an NFL ball.
Anyways, a lot of people finding this rule.
The old heads are just like, I'm not sure about this.
It's changed. I hate it. I'm scared.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's interesting. I think it'll increase the amount of attempts, which I think's fun. I kind of see no real reason why I'd kick it deep anymore. And I think maybe not 10, but if you're aiming for that sweet spot, maybe 20 metres. So you're dropping it on there 30, I don't think you lose anything on a kickoff there or
hard to contest it that deep though.
Yeah,
I think if 20 is kind of a nice sweet spot of you hit it at pace and it's kind of a jump ball. It depends on how much height you can get from. That's what I'm saying. From a drop kick, from the dropouts, you get a lot more height on it.
Yeah.
For off the tee, it's a little bit more difficult. But again, someone will figure it out, I think. And
Someone will work it out.
Yeah.
Melbourne Storm.
yeah, and then someone will end up abusing it at the Melbourne Storm. So, yeah, it would be very interesting if some clubs towards kind of figure out towards the middle of the season go completely one way, and that's all they do is they're just like, we run the risk, we'll take the short. Our defense is good enough, we'll take shorts, and we'll look for turnovers.
Tactically as well, say you've got a lead, there's 3 minutes left on the clock, say less, say there's 90 seconds left on the clock, do you boot the fucking ball so far out of bounds, have time to set your defensive line and go again from there? That's the only sort of loophole that I could perhaps think.
Yeah, like you just said, try to drop it on the sideline. So you give yourself, say, 50-50. If it goes out, then he slows the game down.
Slows it down.
Or you have an option to maybe
set your
steal
defensive
it.
line.
So,
that's the only sort of thinking there. But I don't know. It's not a drastic rule change. I don't think it affects things too much.
We'll see what happens with the pinpoint kickers.
I'm also surprised they didn't, it's pre-season.
Didn't test it.
Do you want to just do it? That'll be the trial games, and then we'll wait and see. But NRL likes to pull the trigger these days, so it's been announced for the season.
It's quiet. It's the off season. You got to do something interesting to get your.
Hasn't been a scandal.
Yeah, exactly.
Have to be
a scandal. That it's like no one's abused anyone, no one's hit their misses. We got to get in the news.
Lucky it's the end of the podcast. We can fucking edit that out.
We know what NRL's like. They like to be in the media for good.
I don't think the NRL
reasons.
likes it. I think the media likes it.
Yes, the media definitely likes it, so they can have the clickbait. It's been a very quiet off season, which has been very good. Besides, Dragons can't sign anyone, hurt players, etc. But
that's sad.
Yeah, outside of that, it's been a pretty good off season. I'm happy to enjoying the quiet in the NFL.
All right, no point signing off because this is getting deleted anyway. See you.
Bye.
See you later.